the best, but yeah, I mean, Tunisia have been traditionally stingy as well in their defence, so it'll be a good test.
Yes, absolutely. Tunisia's defence has been excellent. They didn't concede against Denmark in the opening game. If you stretch back over the last 12 months, Tunisia have kept clean sheets in 9 of their last 10 matches in a row, and the one that they did concede in was a friendly against Brazil in September, which frankly booked the trend because they lost that one by 5-1. But that's what Brazil could do to you.
Exactly, yeah, don't give them any chances.
Okay, we're about to get started. Riley McCree of Middlesbrough, who turned 24 earlier on this month, will get us started. 2/3 of the pitch is in shade. The huge roof inspired by the sails of the Doe boats used by the pearl divers off the Persian Gulf. This is a stadium that really sums up what the Qatar World Cup is all about in terms of facilities. It's like something from the future, and it's a stadium that Australia will play all 3 of their games. They're hoping this could become home. Australia, who've played several games in Qatar, including their playoffs to reach the tournament, and they're hoping that experience of the heat, of the atmosphere of the facilities can help them today. Tunisia will play from right to left as we look down, wearing all white. Early pressure being applied as Mitch Duke tries to gegenpress and nearly wins possession, and Australia have started this right up on their toes, and Tunisia struggling to hold on to possession inside the opening minute. Challenge comes in from Karasis. Australia will get it back and they look to clear away, and as there's an attempt to hoof it forward on by Aaron Moy, he loses possession and Tunisia will come and attack on the edge of the penalty area. Msakni, he can't get a shot through. It's all started here, Karen, 100 miles an hour.
It absolutely has. I mean, it's a physical battle. There's legs flying in everywhere, challenges, to your point, lots of pressing, high tempo, but I think, they're going to both look to start absolutely, 100% committed to this, trying to get a result. But ultimately, I think they're just going to fill each other out for the next 5 or 10 minutes, and then it's going to become quite a tactically interesting game with, a lot of probing passes into the midfield, just trying to grab hold of some momentum and try to dominate the ball and hopefully dominate the opposition.
Just the 3rd time these nations have ever met on the football field. They had a friendly 25 years ago, which Australia won by 3-0. In 2005, they met in the Confederations Cup, and that time Tunisia won the game by 2-0. This is actually only the 2nd time that Australia have ever faced an African country at a World Cup. Back in South Africa in 2010, they came up against Ghana and they drew that match by 1 goal apiece. Confident header, one at the back by Harry Souttar, who, you talk all about Winter World Cups and this tournament being at a different time of the calendar year. Harry Souttar's delighted because had it been in the summer, he'd have missed this. He'd had a cruciate knee ligament injury this month last year. He only came back playing at the start of this month. It's a great story for him personally to have made this squad, to be in this team. And it's a similar story for Yassine Maria, who's the central defender for Tunisia, because he only returned playing in October, having missed most of the last year. So, much has been spoken about the change in the calendar and how it hasn't suited some players. Of course, there's always somebody who will get a bit of a benefit as the ball is put out of play by Sakiri on the far side. He's wearing a protective face mask, a little bit like Son Heung-min for Korea the other day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with these types of situations, with the calendar getting moved around, you're absolutely right. It does kind of create opportunities for other people, and you just have to take them where possible and build some confidence from the moments that you do get.
Yeah, it is what it is. I don't think anyone thinks it's the perfect setup for a World Cup, but it's still the World Cup, and it's still absolutely gripping us all and grabbing eyeballs all around the planet. 0-0 early stages, Tunisia against Australia as Bajic takes the throw in for the Socceroos, tries to get it back and get into a crossing position, but the ball had gone out of play. He was closed down by Mohamed Drager, and that will be possession back to Tunisia, right full back position for them. I wanted to ask you, Karen, from a goalkeeping point of view, for Matt Ryan, we know that he's been very consistent for Australia. He played all their qualifying games, but he's not played much club football over the last couple of seasons. As a goalkeeper, is it any different from an outfield player? Can you still keep yourself sharp? We saw obviously Wayne Hennessy doing well for Wales before his red card, and he's not played an awful lot.
Yeah, I think in terms of goalkeeping perspective, probably the hardest thing that you're going to be doing, and week in, week out, is probably training. And if you're training consistently at a high level with your teammates, nothing really mimics game time in terms of match play. But yeah, in terms of the actual shots that you're seeing and the way that you're thinking about football, yeah, I think you kind of can get away with it a little bit more than necessarily the outfield players can.
I always remember when Peter Schmeichel retired, and his last club was Manchester City, and I went to interview him on the day that his retirement was announced. And I said, are you going to miss the buzz of playing? He said, I am. He said, I'm really going to miss playing. But he said, the reason I'm retiring? He said, I hate training. I've had enough of training. I don't want to do that anymore for all the money in the world. Yeah.
I would have never thought that.
Here comes Australia attacking down the left-hand side. Goodwin's delivery. And it's headed away by Ali Abdi, and he didn't get great distance on it, and Aaron Moy was able to collect. And then a crunching tackle comes in on the shaven-headed Aaron Moy, and he's really been cleaned out there. It's going to be a free kick to Australia. The referee's come over. He's not reaching for his notebook. Moy's first touch wasn't great for the control. He was then stretching, but no prisoners taken with a crunching challenge from Mohamed Drager in the follow-up.
I think this is a trend that we're probably going to see throughout the rest of this game. I mean, it started as a physical battle, and I think both of these teams know that that's probably something they can hang their hat on. So, I mean, I certainly expect to see much more of this, but, it didn't look like he left one on him too much. It was more of the impact of the landing, but, we'll see what they can do with this set piece.
Yeah, Aaron Moy well used to being targeted, a bit like Neymar at Brazil, a bit like Jack Grealish when he came out for England last night, immediately on the receiving end of a crunching tackle, and opponents will spot that Moy cannot be given time and space on the ball. But he's now got a free kick here, which will be taken from the left-hand side as Australia come forward, playing in towards the penalty area mark, penalty spot mark, and Dylan Braun wins the header for Tunisia and manages to clear the ball away. But Australia come again. It's been a good start so far from the Aussies. Craig Goodwin rolls the ball back inside his own half. Beach is back there in field to Kai Rolls, who plays in Scotland with Hearts. There's a big Scottish community in this Socceroos camp. So many of the players either play in Scotland or have Scottish ancestry. And a challenge here by Mitch Duke will eventually give up possession, but Australia win it back again immediately. And the ball won by Jackson Irvine, who plays his club football in Germany. Down the left-hand side, chance to cross for Beage, delivers the ball in, looking for Duke, headed away by Yassin Maria, who was well positioned just in front of the Australian striker. But Tunisia at the moment, when they clear it away, they're not retaining possession, and Australia keep coming at them time and time again. This time down the left wing, Drager intercepts, and this time he should clear away. But that's all they're doing, Karen. Tunisia just clearing their lines.
Yeah, Tunisia can't get out of their own half, and I'm really enjoying this pressure from Australia here. I mean, they're mixing it up in terms of direct play, but then also getting down the flank.
Like Dooney's doing it again. He did this against Denmark. You may have seen the images if you watched the match. You might have seen it on social media. He wins a tackle, and I like this. He celebrates as if he's scored a goal. I mean, the one against Christian Eriksen, he completely roused up the crowd with it. I want to see more of that, Karen.
I want him following me around, to be honest. If I go and get a coffee and he celebrates the way he's done there, I would be buzzing about myself.
And I want to ask you again from the goalkeeping point of view, right? This is my big bugbear in football in general. Goalkeepers have it hardwired into them that they can never celebrate a save.
That's so
true. And I think it's because you have to be immediately on alert. As soon as you celebrate a save, you'll concede the next time the ball comes in.
It's so true.
But the instant reaction from goalkeepers is to turn, to wave a fist, and to shout at your defenders, how dare you allow that shot be taken in the first place?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, you kind of wonder, you're like, are you going to get people looking at you like really, really strange if you just kind of like really celebrate? But what we did start to see, like in the Euros this summer with England, Mary Earps celebrated loads of her saves, and that was class.
Brilliant.
To see.
More of that. Big fan of that, and big fan of Laidouni celebrating his tackles, and hopefully we'll see a few more of them as Dylan Braun clears the ball away. I think what it is with goalkeepers, the job is never done. If a right back makes a sliding tackle, the ball is then away from him, whereas a goalkeeper makes a parry save, the expectation is it's coming straight back, so you've got to be careful. Here's a cross from the left-hand side for the Australians. Craig Goodwin cleared away by Tunisia, been forced to sit so deep here in the early stages. And a little bit, we mentioned America last night, and so much of the programme we talk from an England point of view, the Americans had pressure, but no one to finish it off. That's the way Australia have started here, is now for the first time Tunisia look to break, but Abdi's heavy touch sends the ball too far in front of him, and it's intercepted, and Australia bang it back into the Tunisian half again. 9 minutes played, no goals in the Al Janoub Stadium.
In a good way, it feels like we've been actually playing a lot longer because there's been so much action, and Australia have been pressuring really, really well. But what I like about this is they're choosing their moments about when to press. I mean, they're being really diligent about trying to make the pitch as small as possible, but recognizing the distances and being really, really clever about their energy levels, because they started off like a house on fire. It's just going to be interesting to see if it's going to be that tenable.
All the possession, all the territory so far for Australia in a game when frankly they've nothing to lose now. This is like a final to them. Lose and their World Cup is over, so they've got to give it absolutely everything. Here's Goodwin, who's seen a lot of the ball in the early stages. Good pass to Matthew Leckie of Melbourne City. He's got a chance to look up on the right hand side, 10 yards from the byline. Gives the ball in low to Riley McGree, and McGree's attempted cross is blocked down, and then Laidouni should be able to clear away here, and he calmly rolls it infield to Talbi, and Tunisia do clear it up towards the halfway line. This time Jebeli, who's the number 9, the centre forward, tries to hold it up, but he's committed a foul in doing so, and the referee is blowing the whistle, and he's given a free kick to Australia, and Jebali there is kind of shrugging his shoulders and said, I'm not quite sure what the free kick is for, as he shakes his head.
I mean, let's be honest, like, what's he meant to do? Harry Sutar is all arms and legs, isn't he? So he's very, very good at that 1v1 defending. You know, he's not afraid to get up to the player and make it difficult for them to turn and force them back towards their own goal. So yeah, there's not a whole lot he can do there, but well defended.
Harry Sutar makes his way forward for this free kick. He's got 6 international goals, Harry Sutar. They've all come headers from corners.
I mean, he's massive. Look at him.
He's a very obvious target as he takes a position towards the back post, and Drager is the nearest Tunisian defender to him. This free kick, which is just 10-12 yards inside the Tunisian half, right of centre, but Moy is clearly going to drill it up into the penalty area. Matt Ryan Drachman is standing on the edge of his 6-yard box. The Tunisian defenders have taken a high line. They are 5 yards outside the penalty area. There's a big corridor of uncertainty which Moy's going to presumably try and play it into. He doesn't quite get it in behind, but it's been controlled out on the far side by Leckie. Leckie's back heel is good here, and a chance to cross for Goodwin from the byline on the left hand side, but headed away again. And through sheer weight of numbers, Tunisia are hanging out of the back, hanging on, but they're being forced to sit so deep in these opening 11 minutes. Still 0-0.
Australia, it's all Australia. I think they've recognised that the back three of Tunisia are very, very narrow and compact, and they've recognised that the spaces are going to be in behind Al Abdi and Drager, and they're just pummeling it down those channels, and they're so good at the crosses. Craig Goodwin has actually been delightful in terms of his crossing so far over the course of this tournament.
Yeah, we mentioned that Australia played a lot in Qatar. 4 qualifying matches for this tournament they played in Qatar, and the hope is that the experience of the conditions would give them an advantage. They get to play all 3 group games at this same stadium, so there are some things that are in Australia's benefit, but can they make it count? As Harry Sutar picks a good pass through midfield to Matthew Leckie. Energetic defending holds him up, but the loose ball here is fall to Karasis. His delivery into the penalty area, and there's a line of 5 white shirts pretty much along the edge of the 6-yard box for Tunisia, and they just stand like a white wall and they clear the ball away. Jebali here tries to hold it up, but again, outstretched arms from him. He's frustrated. He's getting it with his back to the direction that Tunisia are playing, and he wants to face the other way and get a pass maybe going towards Matthew Ryan's goal.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for Tunisia if their number 9 is having to come that deep to receive the ball, and you know, he needs some support play underneath him, or he's really, really going to struggle beating the back 4 of Australia.
Tunisia 0, Australia 0. That's how it finished when Tunisia played against Denmark on Tuesday. You've got to go back to Argentina 1978 for the last time the Tunisians have gone 2 games in a row unbeaten at the same World Cup. Throw in on the far side taken by Aziz Behich of Dundee United. He made his international debut this month last year against South Korea. He scored an own goal against France not so long ago as well. Aziz Behich, as a clearance will be taken by Matt Ryan, who's wearing all sky blue, sort of a Manchester City blue, away to the left hand side, and he's had nothing to do but spectate. He's only had back passes, not even a cross to come and gather yet for Matt Ryan in the game. Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting one for Matty Ryan, I think. You know, as a keeper, when you're on top like this and you're expecting maybe something different from the game to begin with, it's all about that focus and maintaining that presence and that connection with your team. So essentially he's going to be communicating consistently with Rowles and Sutar, just trying to make sure that they know where he is all the time and he's staying connected with the momentum and the feeling of the game.
In terms of his 77 caps, including today Matt Ryan, only Mark Schwarzer, who we heard on the programme before kickoff, has made more appearances. Mistake at the back, and Mariah's given the ball away, and it's been pounced upon by Mitch Duke. We mentioned the high press, working well for Australia there. Leckie's cross from the right hand right-hand side is cleared away by Dylan Braun, and Tunisia get away with one there. It's been a feature of this World Cup. We've seen mistakes by goalkeepers, by defenders, which have led to goals, and Maria's very grateful that nothing went awry there after his delay and his error.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great pressure and good recognition of the space, for Lecky to get a cross in, but unfortunately didn't beat the first defender. So, that's going to have to be better. But Australia have been on top this entire time, and I think Karasis and Bajic have done really, really well to get forward and deliver those crosses as well.
Karasis' throw in, good distance on it from the right-hand side, deep into the penalty area. There's a header on by Jackson Irvine, and now Lecky picks it up and goes down on the edge of the penalty area. Referee was very close to that and says no foul. I think it was Skiri was the Tunisian defender. Tackles flying in all over the places. Australia win it back again. Jackson Irvine goes full-bloodied in, a wallop of the two shin pads there as the ball goes out of play for a throw-in. Australia are pumped up for this.
This is fantastic. I'm loving it. Both teams are absolutely so up for this game. I think they absolutely understand what's on line at the minute. And, there's just lots of little individual battles going on and these little individual duels. And it's great to see. This is the enthusiasm you want to see in a World Cup.
Absolutely. 5 Live for the BBC. We're live on BBC Sounds. We're across Africa on the BBC World Service. And if you're watching this game on BBC television, maybe you're in the car on the way home, you're going to watch the rest of it on the box. You can go to iPlayer and you can select to listen to the radio commentary, all in sync with the TV pictures, if you want to keep up with our conversation here on 5 Live. Tunisia 0, Australia 0. Tunisia, who've just been treading water so far, trying to keep the Australians at bay, and they've offered nothing in attack in the opening 16 minutes of this match so far. Talbi, a much-travelled defender, rolls it back to the goalkeeper, Ayman Dochman, and his clearance goes down the right-hand side. Dragger jumps in the air, but he can't get a clean touch on it. Slitty with a header too, but he can't control. And eventually it's cleared away, right-footed by Bajic, down into the Tunisian half. And that is going to bounce and dribble away out of play. And it'll be a throw-in to Tunisia, right full-back position for them. Karen Bardsley.
It's interesting, isn't it? We're starting to see a bit of a shift in momentum. Those first 15 minutes have just been absolutely mental from both sides. And so I think we're starting to see a bit of a shift in momentum here. Again, choosing their moments, Australia, about when to press. But I think Tunisia have realised that they're going to have to play a bit more direct, go a bit more into the opposition's final third and try to almost play a rugby tactic.
Another busy day, another 4 matches today at the World Cup in Qatar. We've got Poland against Saudi Arabia next. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff UK time. Then in Group D, this group at 4 o'clock, France against Denmark. That will be tasty. Our correspondent John Murray will be alongside Alan Shearer for commentary of that one. And speaking of tasty, Group C tonight, 7 o'clock. Argentina against Mexico, South America against Central America, Messi's last dance, all the rest of it. You can't hype that game up enough, but after losing to Saudi Arabia, surely Argentina have to bite back.
Oh man, it would be so disappointing if they didn't. I think they have been chomping at the bit to get back on the pitch as soon as that final whistle went, because I think they've got a lot to prove, not only to the rest of the world but themselves as well.
Yeah, add a bit of spice to that game. Mexico's coach is Argentinian, Gerardo Martino. He used to be in charge of the Argentinian national team. And Mexico, who've always reached the knockout stages of every World Cup they've ever been involved in. And assuming Messi does play, he will equal Diego Maradona's record of 21 appearances at a World Cup, but he's got to summon that spirit and magic of his predecessor in that famous number 10 shirt. It's going to be a fantastic listen. Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton later on. 7 p.m. kickoff this evening. Argentina against Mexico on 5 Live. For the moment, we are concentrating on Tunisia and Australia. This is Group D. France on top of the group. Tunisia in second place after their opening draw against Denmark. Australia starting the day bottom of the group, and they're coming out fighting. They're coming out a bit like the sort of caged animal that we thought they might be. There was a great quote actually from the Australian coach this week, Graham Arnold. He said, "We've got to be ready for war. We fight fire with fire, especially from the start." He's done that, right? We've seen that here. And then he said, "But when we go in front, then we've got to put the fire out," which is a nice way of putting things, and you don't really hear coaches admit that, but that's clearly what Australia want to do here. Big start, give it everything, and then shut the door. They're on the attack at the moment. cross from Karasis from the right hand side, but again it's blocked down, and actually Tunisia have done well in that regard. They're absorbing a lot of pressure, but they're cutting out Karen a lot of crosses, and now they've got a chance of a counter-attack as Skiri rolls in front of Jabali, and a pull back to the edge of the penalty area. Masakni comes in, but he can't deliver the cross, and that's the first bit of threatening pressure from Tunisia. Yusuf Masakni, but he couldn't get the shot away, too many defenders around him.
That's the best run of play I think we've seen from the Tunisians so far, and it's fantastic. It goes out wide. It's a 1v1 battle, but he decides to go for an early cross, and Masakni coming through the middle, and it's unfortunate that he just couldn't quite get the ball under control and his runs out of play. But some real spirit and some real momentum shifting that we're starting to see from the Tunisians, so it looks like they're starting to really grow their way back into this game.
Yeah, that's the first bit of pressure that they've applied in attack, and Jabali did well there. He was right hand side of the penalty area. He barely looked at the ball. He was scanning the centre. Where's the centre forward? Where's the left winger? Where am I going to? It was a clever little pullback. It very nearly worked. And for a guy who hasn't had any bit of attacking impetus in the game so far, he did as well as he could do there. Issam Jabali, a player who's recently back in the national squad after a 3-year absence for Tunisia. Here they come again. They're hoping that they might have weathered the storm, the North Africans. And Australia, for the first time, being asked a few defensive questions. Abdi on the left-hand side tries to play it forward, comes off Karasis, and that goes out for a throw into Tunisia. For the first time, a throw in for them inside the Australian half.
Yeah, it's just disappointing. They're just missing that quality in the final third, that final execution of the pass or the final execution of the touch. And it's just letting them down a little bit going forward.
Now they're having a good spell though. Sakiri to his right hand side, and the shot comes in from Slaty from a long way out, and again he put the laces through it, but he couldn't get it on target. But they have shown up. It has taken them 20 minutes, but Tunisia are in the game now. Yeah,
you can see the confidence growing, and from everything I've seen, the clips coming into this game and watching some of the Tunisian goals back, you just think they're not afraid to shoot, so they will take their chances. And I've seen a few go in from distance, so Matty Ryan has to be on his toes.
Ryan prepares to take the goal kick. I was mentioning earlier we to break off for some action, but only Mark Schwartzer's kept more clean sheets for Australia than Matt Ryan. But Matt Ryan has never kept a clean sheet at a World Cup, and he's played a lot of games. This is his 7th game now at a World Cup. He's hoping today might be the day that he manages to keep a shutout as Ali Abdi, don't know whether he got caught in the face there, he fell awkwardly, but he's down after a challenge. I think he was caught in the face because he's got his hand up to his left eye socket now, and he's slow to get back to his feet. The player who plays in the second tier in France with Cannes. He was jumping in the air up against Matthew Leckie. Ooh, he's caught by a forearm. Might even have been an elbow. No, it's not an attacking elbow, but it's a swinging arm, and Leckie will be just hopeful that the officials don't want any further scrutiny of that.
Yeah, it just looks like one of those things, you're trying to build some momentum to get up, and then on your way down, the timing's kind of off, and you just kind of clip someone with your arm. So I think you'll be all right, but yeah, anything to the face is never pleasant, is it?
Well, absolutely. Matthew Leckie, who speak about Matt Ryan playing in a 7th World Cup game. For Matthew Leckie, this is the 8th time he has started a match at a World Cup finals. No Australian has ever started more than that. Great atmosphere inside the stadium. Tunisian fans there's a huge expat community of Tunisians who live in Qatar, and they've been a great sight and sound around the country during this tournament. They massively outweigh the Australian fans inside the Al Janoub Stadium, and they're making great noise. I mean, the Australians can barely be heard, but it's a complete din and cacophony from the North Africans, as you would expect.
Yeah, it's been great to see the support that these African nations have been bringing to the games as well. I think like Ghana the other day was an absolutely fantastic sounding atmosphere. But the amount of representation that we're seeing from Africa and the style of play that we're starting to see, it's great to see the game developing.
Whistles and cheers from the Tunisians as Australia have possession. This could be promising. McGree has played a pass to the left-hand side. Craig Goodwin tries to cross it in. Flicked it out by Duke! It's brilliant! Mitch Duke scores a fantastic header to give Australia the lead. It was a cross that took a deflection from Goodwin, but it didn't put Mitch Duke off his stride. And running in front of the goal, he to get a power and an angle on it to put it across the goalkeeper's body into the far bottom corner. It's a superb goal for Duke. It's his 9th for his country. And Australia, on a day they simply cannot afford to lose, take the early lead against Tunisia. It's Tunisia 0, Australia 1.
I love it, the excitement on his face. He's absolutely buzzing, and the team celebrated so excitedly. they're going to be so pumped for this goal, and it's signs of things to come. But importantly, again, they've exposed the narrowness of the Tunisian back four, and this is a great cross in from Chris Goodwin. Of course, yes, Craig Goodwin, pardon me. It takes a deflection, but look, just by putting the ball in the box and having a 9 frame the goal, it's in. And what a header that is! It's a delightful flick. It just falls. The trajectory just drops into the corner of the goal, and it's just outside the reach of the outstretched hands of the Tunisian goalkeeper. What a goal.
That is a world-class header. I'm trying to find a way to paint the picture. It's the kind of header that Luis Suarez would plant.
It's just glancing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Just glances off the top of his head. Slight, differentiation in trajectory, and just slightly nestles itself into the corner of the net.
He scored against New Zealand in a friendly in September. Mitch Duke has scored for Australia here. Now remember, they did take the lead in the last game too and ended up losing 4-1, but this feels a different mood. And given the narrative of the game so far, Karen, where Australia, this dominant spell, weren't really getting shots on target, suddenly Tunisia get a couple of chances and you wonder, was that Australia's purple patch? They'll be so pleased now to have actually got the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, they'll take a lot of confidence from that goal going in, and they'll take even more confidence from the way that it was scored, in terms of their game plan is obviously getting down the flanks and delivering those crosses into the box. And so I think going forward, yes, they've managed a few shifts in momentum from Tunisia in terms of their attacking, but I think ultimately, we're going to see more of this, aren't we?
The television match director has picked up a wonderful image. We'll tell you about it in a moment as Craig Goodwin is fouled down the left-hand side. First yellow card of the game has been shown. Bit of frustration being expelled there by the Tunisians, and we mentioned how Laidouni loves a tackle and loves to celebrate it. Well, that was too rough. Quick footwork from Goodwin to flick out of the way, and he was too pumped up, Laidouni. He followed through, he caught him on the ankle, and he followed through shoulder into the chest, and that is reckless play, and that is a booking for Issa Laidouni. Now I mentioned the television director, so the celebration from Mitch Duke, he held his fingers, it's like he was making a letter T as he celebrated, and I'm assuming it's his son, or it's certainly a kid that he knows who's in the crowd, was giving him the tea back. So that was the little sign that they had for each other, and that was spotted by the television match director, which is a wonderful moment.
Spot.
I love things like that.
Great spot. No, you can feel that connection and the support, from the fans and for the Australian side, and it's pretty cool. You're starting to see a lot more of that fan engagement with the players, aren't you? I think Grealish was one that obviously. Celebrated with a fan at Man City, and it's just great to see. It's a great way to connect with everyone at home.
More of that kind of thing. Mitch Duke, who plays his club football in Japan, and he has scored the opening goal in the Al Janoub Stadium. Tunisia 0, Australia 1. This is 5 Live from the BBC, live on BBC Sounds, and with Tunisia involved, we're across Africa today as well on the BBC World Service. Tunisia, who had an encouraging 0-0 draw against Denmark in their opening game, but now for the first time they are being asked. We've been asked questions of them, and it's going to be interesting to see how they can reply. I'm just being told here, Mitch Duke, normally he's known for doing the splits as his goal celebration.
What?
And he didn't do it, but that is one way to put yourself out of the final group game. It's just split celebration.
Yeah, no, it's probably not the way I would celebrate.
No,
I don't think.
He's down into the mum. The last thing he needs is splits here as he's holding his right knee. And he did need some treatment here.
He did put in a nice crunching tackle just before the ball went out for a throw, and maybe he's had one just left on him by Talby here. But yeah, as he was trying to clear the ball, it looks as though Talby ended up following through and catching him on the knee, and that's going to hurt.
No, good challenge though. Brave challenge by Mitch Duke.
Says a lot about the mentality,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Flying in, they feel confident, it's physical, love it.
And we mentioned Laidouni celebrating his tackles. All of the Australian bench there got to their feet celebrating that challenge of Mitch Duke as he closed down Talby, and it was a full. Look, the Aussies love their sport, and they do have this sort of, particularly in the male game, this sort of macho image that they're tough men and all that. They love that across the different codes and different sports as well, and they get fired up when moments like that happen. But I was reading about Mitch Duke, actually, the build-up to the tournament. When he was a kid, his dad would wake him up at 5 in the morning, and he had to do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 chin-ups before he would go to school. I mean, that's pretty tough going for a kid.
Yeah, it is. It's not the way my morning routine would want to go, I don't think.
No, my kids get away with murder. I need to start instilling that into our household.
My parents had to like drag me out of bed when I was a teenager. My mom would throw like glasses of water on me. Get up, you know. It was not pleasant.
I remember years ago, Peter Shilton, the former England goalkeeper, that he wanted to make his arms longer as a kid to be a better goalkeeper. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't.
And he had a staircase in his house, and he used to swing every day out of the staircase, thinking that it would slightly elongate his arms. Every little advantage.
Did it work?
Well, I don't know. He played 1,000,000 times for England.
But did he keep track? How does he know?
You see, nowadays they would measure that, right?
Exactly.
Back then, no chance.
Everything is measurable.
Yeah, and it always, we talk about people getting up, doing their 100 sit-ups and swinging out. All these guys who, and then they go on to play in World Cups, and you say, sort of, wasn't it worth it? Think how many thousands of kids around the world do these things and never make it, and never get to go to the World Cup. I mean, imagine long arms.
Imagine asking them, like, what do you think was a decisive moment in your career? Swinging off the staircase.
Tunisia 0, Australia 1. Half an hour played now. Poland against Saudi Arabia to come up as the lunchtime game. The Saudis go at it again, leading the group after that amazing win against Argentina. They'll have picked up many fans for that spirited performance as Aaron Moy tries to scoop the ball forward here for Australia, but he can't pick out Craig Goodwin. Tunisia trying to clear it away. The game has fallen back into the pattern that it was in the early stages, with the Australians dominating the ball inside the Tunisian half. Let's see if there could be a break here though, and a good challenge comes in from Jackson Irvine on Layadouni, and that's going to be a free kick to Tunisia inside the centre circle.
I think they're going to have to start managing their tackles and the physicality of this game, Australia, because you don't want to get carried away. I think much like their manager's point, they start with a fire, but then as soon as you score, you might have to put it out a little bit. So trying to calm them down in terms of their decision making, when to kind of be a bit more physical and when not to. You don't want to give away too many set pieces, because Tunisia are going to absolutely thrive on that if it's in a dangerous area.
Here's Jabali, dangerous area for Tunisia, but it's swept away off his toe. And it was the fullback, Frank Karasis, running back into the penalty area, was able to clear it away. And Mitch Duke, he's down now holding his lower back. And he's getting up, and he's very irate about the challenge that went in and in there. And he's actually coming across speaking to, that's Kaziri, the former Sunderland player, who's one of the substitutes for Tunisia, who must have said, no, hang on, the bringer has Hannibal now, the Manchester United kid who's on loan at Birmingham. Something's been said. Mitch Duke has reacted to it, and then it's all very sporting now as Duke comes across and gives a little handshake to Hannibal. But look, I'm going to read between the lines and take a guess here that Hannibal Mebri has said something in the lines of, get up, you cheat, smile. You weren't hurt, you weren't touched, and Duke said, hang on a minute, I've been barreled into from behind. And because it happened right in front of the technical area, he heard that, and a little exchange. Hang on, we've just seen it, we've just seen the replay. The ball was thrown back onto the field by Mebri, and he hit Duke accidentally on the head.
Handbags.
So that's what the apology was for. That makes sense now. Duke's going, hang on a minute, you're insult to injury here. I've been clattered onto the ground, and now you've thrown the ball at my head on the surface. To be fair to Hannibal, he's dealt. He got up, he came across, he shook hands, he said sorry.
Yeah, it's good to see that. But yeah, no, Duke's been in the battle so far, in the wars. I mean, he's fallen from quite a distance on several occasions and had knees in the back, and yeah, so again, just one of those things you need to take in consideration. Is he being wound up? Is he trying to, is the gamesmanship starting to encroach?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about the let's light the fire and then let's put it out. There's no evidence from Australia they're putting it out, and I don't think it would be the right thing to do it this early either, but they want this second goal, and the way the match has been, the amount of attacking possession they've had, you wouldn't put it past Australia to double their lead before the break. Another Tunisian foul in defence. Dylan Brun this time with the foul on Riley McGree, and the Tunisian defenders are feeling the heat.
They are, but you know what, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the Brun got up to the ball, made it really, really difficult. They're trying to make sure that Australia are as uncomfortable as possible, but they've just taken this free kick, Australia, now they're down the wing.
This is Matthew Leckie, crossing position on the right-hand side. Talby did well to get close. Cuts out the cross at source. The ball goes out by the corner flag, and it will be a corner to Australia down the right-hand side. This is the first, I believe, corner of the game. And it has taken us 33 minutes for it to arrive. If you're just tuning our way, Mitch Duke's goal, an excellent header. You can catch it tonight, the highlights with Gabby Logan on BBC One from 10:30 this evening, have given Australia the lead in a game they cannot afford to lose. The Aussies lose here, they are out of the World Cup with the game to go. Corner about to be taken. We mentioned Harry Souttar's brilliant record of scoring goals with headers from corners. He's bouncing around. He's like Tyson Fury in the ring there as he tries to make space inside the 6-yard box. Ball is played in. An attempted flick by Jackson Irvine. He hit the post against France. This time he's off target.
If only that mustache wasn't on his top lip, that might have gone in. No, I'm joking. No, it was a fancy looking flick behind the back leg, but yeah, it just didn't quite come off. But again, Tunisians have to be on their toes, especially in that near post space. You can tell that was an area that they've targeted.
It is one of the moustaches of the World Cup, Jackson Irvine. That'll take some grooming.
It should be documented, that, shouldn't it? You got Alisson's got a pretty hefty mustache.
He does, but you know what? Alisson does not have the beard of the World Cup. The Australian reserve keeper, Andrew Redmayne, but he has got a proper thatch. I mean, that is, small animal could live in there. He is absolutely, if you're going to do a beard, he's gone full on beard.
What kind of animal do you think's in there?
Several, probably.
Yeah, field mouse.
Noah's Ark could fit inside in that beard.
Chipmunk.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Redmayne, there was an interesting thing in the playoffs. So Australia to beat Peru to get into this World Cup. It went to a penalty shootout, and obviously Matt Ryan's the regular goalkeeper. A bit like Louis van Gaal in 2014. He tried to play a bit of mind games, and he changed the keeper just before the shootout.
I love that.
So Redmayne, and he didn't save it, but Peru hit the post with one of the penalties,
and that's
how he went through.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought you were going to pull something out, like you pull out like a little squirrel and you're like, yeah, and it really throws him off.
He could hide two other goalkeepers in the beard to give them a better chance of saving it.
It's just Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, but once the World Cup is over, he'll be dyeing it white and he'll be in a supermarket near you.
Is it Farmer Christmas?
Yes. Yeah, it's Farmer Christmas. Exactly, yeah. It is 1-0 to Australia. Half-time approaching. Tunisia had one decent attack with Jabali since going behind, but I think they'll be disappointed with their showing in the opening half of this game so far. We're getting to see a replay of the goal again. I'm just stunned by the quality of that header. That is a world-class finish.
But I mean, earlier we just saw Mitch Duke is feeling himself, I have to say. Like, there's some great touches there, just really great little 1v1s, 2v2s, good combinations through the midfield, and it's just a pleasure to watch at the minute. And the thing I love is, like, they're just playing with so much fun and energy and freedom. There's smiles on their faces, and they're at a World Cup. They're enjoying the moment. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, this is what it's all about. If you're an Australian fan and you've made the trip to Qatar and you're there with your inflatable kangaroo and all the rest of it, those hats with the corks dangling out of it, and you're 1-0 up, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. Australia have possession, middle of the midfield with Aaron Moy, who's a familiar face and name from his time with Bolton and Huddersfield and Brighton. He's with Celtic these days after a spell in China. Very good player, very technically skillful player, Aaron Moy. And he's been keeping it simple in the middle of the midfield so far. Here he is again, right-footed ball forward, managing to pick out Matthew Leckie. He spins and turns into the Tunisian half, challenged by Montesot Dalby, and Tunisia regain possession. Now, can they get a bit of composure in these closing minutes ahead of the break? 7 minutes to go to half-time. Bron gives it a big boot forward off his right boot. Now that's a difficult one for Jabali to receive. 3 burly Australian central defenders around him. Jabali never had a chance, and Tunisia have got to do better than that, Karen.
They really do. They really do. It's a disappointing lump forward.
Here they come though with Massekni to the edge of the penalty area, drills in a shot with the right boot, and it's been blocked by Jackson Irvine, or quite possibly his moustache, but either way it's blocked and it's cleared away. Masaki stunned by the touch, but he's the danger man. He had the few shots against Denmark, and he does look like the player who might be able to spark something of a comeback for Tunisia here.
I mean, look, we've seen them do it early. We've seen them do it against Denmark. They're just looking for those statistical balls going forward, particularly in those channels, and they're just trying to make sure that they're playing and keeping possession in the opposition's final third. And, once they do get the support up there, I think they're looking to play off the first and second balls from Australia, but once they do get up there, the Tunisians, they've still got incredibly talented technicians, so I think they're going to be looking to take on some 1v1 battles in wide spaces, maybe a few drag backs to the on-rushing, attacking midfielder, or, what we saw through Jabali or even Msakni coming through the middle. So you have to respect the fact that they are here and they are in this World Cup, and that they do have the players that can, score if you give them the opportunity to.
That's the voice of Karen Barnsley watching this game with her son on 5 Live at BBC Sounds. A break of play for an injury here. Reminder to let you know what's coming up tomorrow. Again, 4 games. It starts at 10 a.m. Japan against Costa Rica. At lunchtime, Belgium will take on Morocco. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon UK time, Croatia against Canada. Canada, who looked very good in their opening game, but again struggled to find the net. And then what a game tomorrow night. 2 of the heavyweights come together at this World Cup. 7 o'clock kickoff, Spain against Germany. You can listen to the game in full, all the games live across 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And play back underway here. It's the goalkeeper for Tunisia, Ayman Dockman. Nothing he could do about the goal, which was planted beyond him into the corner. Again, it's just a hoof forward, in Australia picking up those second balls all the time. Goodwin picks out a nice pass forward here. McGree into the penalty area. Leckie sliding in, and the referee says that he slid too forcefully, and his studs were showing, maybe, according to the goalkeeper. Darwin, he raised up his boot to physically show his studs. That's the international language for that. But Australia banging on the door again, and Tunisia relieved that nothing came of that.
It's a great run from Leckie off the back shoulder of the number 4 for Tunisia, Maria, I think it was. And you know, they have to be aware of those threats, and that covering centre back is going to have to come around a little bit more. But it's quite cheeky from Leckie. I saw he was saying back to Daman, the goalkeeper, just get back in your goal, get back in your, you know where you belong.
Tunisia 0, Australia 1. And maybe a chance for Jabali now. Into the penalty area. Tries to get it onto his right boot. Supported by Masakni. Now a chance. And the shot from Slinty is saved. Matt Ryan congratulates Sutar, who I think made the block just in front of the goalkeeper. That, hands down, is Tunisia's best chance of the game so far. Naim Sliti, the one change in the starting 11 today from the match on Tuesday against Denmark. It was an opportunity, but brave defending. Sutar in front of the goalkeeper with a superb block.
Jabali does really, really well there to get the ball into the box and kind of lay off, but wow, what a block from Sutar, and that was arguably Tunisia's best chance of this game so far. And yeah, you have to respect what they're doing. They're fully capable of being a really, really threatening opponent in front of goal. And Matt Ryan's just dropped the ball off, just taking a cross into the box.
Yeah, the corner came in, repelled away. Dragger returned into the box, and Ryan came commandingly, jumped in the air, caught the ball with both hands, but then collided into while he was in the air. And as we all know, Cara, the goalkeepers are protected species, so of course the referee blows the whistle.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he got tabletop by his own player, and it's just one of those things you kind of have to take. But yeah,
that's it. I mean, how was that a foul? It's his own player.
For me, that's not a foul. So I'm quite surprised that the whistle blew then. But yeah, I mean, another example of, again, how dangerous these balls into the box can be. And Drager, honestly, like, he probably should have done better there. I mean, had some space at the near posts of Matty Ryan, and just a fantastic save from block from Harry Sutar kept that out of the back of the net. Karen,
I've done so many commentaries over the years with goalkeepers. Brad Friedel, Rob Green, Peter Schmeichel. I'm absolutely named. I'm just going to lean over and pick another one up here. That is the first time I have ever heard a member of the goalkeeping union admit that a goalkeeper was fouled.
Well, if you know anything about me, I am very honest. I am a member of the union, but I am also very balanced in my approach.
You'll be getting an email from the goalkeepers union when you go back.
They're going to take my card back.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it.
Been revoked.
Hand back the gloves. You're no longer one of us. No, Matt Ryan clearly into his own player, but the referee blew the whistle, as tends to happen when goalkeepers go down. Right, who's that foul? Duke, who's been on the receiving end of a bit of treatment. Leckie is shouting at the referee, and I think he's sort of saying, look, there's a lot of fouls going in here. The sheer weight of number here. Duke has been on the receiving end of a lot of them. But it's the pressure that Australia are putting on them, Karen.
I think, I mean, you have to understand as well, if you're going to be dribbling and to keep possession of the ball as much as they have been, they're going to invite tackles. And, you know, we saw it in the likes of Neymar. We've seen it, you know, in the likes of Grealish, as, you know, he draws arguably the most tackles in the Premier League, I think. But, yeah, the more you hang on to the ball, the more likely you're going to get whacked.
Tunisia 0, Australia 1. Almost half-time. Goodwin's free kick in. Duke's header on target, but no power. And saved by Ayman Dockman.
No, this is curious. I mean, we've had so many opportunities now for Australia. When are we going to see a second? And do they need that, you know, to kind of add some more comfort to this game? Because going forward, it sure looks like Tunisia is starting to grow into this game.
Karasis down the right-hand side for Australia. It's rolled back by Matthew Leckie into the midfield. It's all being played at such 100 miles an hour. When Australia get the ball, there's no sort of, well, let's just give it back to the two central defenders and let the player. It's immediately bang it down the wing. He's hit Karasis into the area. It just didn't sit up for him. There was a mistake. I think it was Talbi at the back for Tunisia who allowed the ball to bounce. It fell away from him. Karasis might have been in, but he was hoping it would sit up for him, and it just didn't, and he couldn't get a clean shot.
I love this Australia team right now. They're just like a dog with a bone. They're so tenacious. Everything's just, they're on the front foot. They're expecting these attacks, and to be honest, that should have been done better there.
It was a good block in the end. Karasis was alert after the mistake at the back by Abdi. He's in, and then is it Maria? Yes, into the back. I mean, he did well. He got his body in the way, and the shot from Karasis was blocked away off Yassine Maria. But Tunisia remain under enormous pressure. And look, Australia have got to be delighted the way this first half has gone as we're about to move into stoppage time at the end of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that shot from Karasis had eyes for the goal, to be honest. It looked like he just kind of wellied it. And the agility there, it was brick-like.
It wasn't a Benjamin Pavard effort, if we talk about full-backs. I mean, that sort of position, he was trying to give it the half volley on the corner angle of the penalty area.
Maybe just dip in the top corner.
Look, lightning strikes once in a millennium for these fullbacks with shots like that. It wasn't going to happen again for Fan Karasis there. More pressure at the back for Tunisia. Montasar Talbi heads the ball out for a corner. They'll be pleased to hear this whistle for the break, the North Africans. Get into the changing room. Their coach Jalal Kadri can try and restructure things, but Tunisia will hope to impose a bit more of the game on Australia after absorbing so much pressure in this first half. 5 minutes, which by the standards of this World Cup actually isn't huge. Before the tournament we'd have gone, what, 5 minutes? But that's actually a small amount these days. And the corner's going to be taken from the right hand side. Two Australians have gone in, Duke and Leckie, to step on the toes of the goalkeeper. Laidouni's trying to be the bouncer, and he's shielding, trying to give Dockman a bit of space. Here comes the delivery, well played in. Laidouni wins the header of the front post. Will he get another chance? He will. He heads it down. Little touch by Masikni, and Tunisia don't clear their lines fully. Back in by Karasis, who went for another Benjamin Pavard imitation act there, but this one is well wide of the target again.
Well managed again defensively excuse me, from Tunisia. They're getting in good areas in terms of their defensive shape and framing the goal as well, coming from a corner. So as much as they can, they are limiting the opportunities, especially from set pieces, which is something that typically we see Australia kind of play for and convert a little bit more from.
Tunisian fans still so buoyant. 1-0 down. Hard to make an argument to say their team are playing well, other than, keeping this to 1-0 under so much Australian pressure, but they've got to give more in attack. Maybe now. Down the right hand side runs Sleet deep, but he can't get onto it, and it's cleared away by Kai Rolls. Nothing fancy, just puts it out for a throw into Tunisia. Far side of the pitch from us, corner angle of the penalty area as Tunisia attack. And Mohamed Drager, the Luzerne defender on loan from Nottingham Forest, takes the throw, receives it back again from Laidouni. Then Drager tries to go to the byline, but Goodwin goes with him all the way, blocks the cross, and it goes out for another throw to Tunisia, taken again by Drager. He throws it in towards Jabali. Jabali can't make it stick. Australia clear away, but don't fully clear their lines, and it's picked up in the midfield for Tunisia by Laidouni once again. He clips it forward down the right hand side. Good ball taken on the chest by Drager. Down to Jabali again. Low ball into the middle. Should have been the equaliser. Youssef Masekni at the front post tried to wrap his foot around it, and he's put it wide. It's a huge chance, and it's an enormous let-off for Australia, who still lead by a 0 at stoppage time before half-time.
A let-off is absolutely right. It just seemed like everyone vacated that near post space, and what a fantastic run. And he was just so unfortunate that just wasn't on target, because I don't think Matty Ryan would have known anything about it.
That was the chance, and Tunisian fans have got to be worried now. Is this going to be one of those days? That doesn't feel like the sort of opportunity they can afford to allow past them. Decent build-up. Drager was involved a lot in that. He tried. He eventually was able to deliver the cross, and it was a great run to the front post by Masekni. But he just needed to hit the target, and he drilled it wide to the right post. Here's a cross from Karasis down the right-hand side for Australia, headed away by the busy Maria, and then eventually Talbi puts a boot in it, but it's back to that same old routine as Tunisia give the ball away again. They clear it away, it's like they're hitting a wall and it just bounces back at them. Again, Jabali tries to jump, but surrounded by Socceroo defenders. Right-footed clearance down the right-hand side from Sutar. Ball has been picked up by Matthew Leckie here. Support behind from Karasis. This is inside the Tunisian half. Right-hand side of the field as Australia come forward. Challenge comes in and Karasis and Tunisia are able to win it back. Laidouni's ball forward. One for Jabali to chase after, but Kai Rolls is able to sweep across and then he slightly loses his footing as he clears it away. So it goes out for a throw-in and still we play on. We're into the 5th minute of stoppage time at the end of this first half. Australia still 1 goal in front. Karen Bardsey.
Again, how many warning signs do Australia need that this is going to come? I think, we're going to have to get up to the ball a little bit more in terms of the Australians pressing to deny these balls going forward.
Good ball forward this time. Slichty tries to control it and it bounces away from Dragar. And did the last touch come off Goodwin there? It did. It is going to be a corner. Corner to Tunisia. This might be the final action of the first half. Mohamed Dragar, who signed for Nottingham Forest at the start of last season, he's yet to make an appearance for the club. He's way down the pecking order now in terms of right-sided defenders with Nico Williams and Serge Aurier. Corner comes in, big Harry Suter, clean forehead, manages to clear it away. Picked up by Skiri in the midfield for Tunisia, gives it to the left-hand side to Abdi. Poor ball infield though. Aaron Moy back disrupting, wins it back for Australia, and anywhere will do as they cannon it away down the field. And the referee, has he? No, I thought for a moment he was about to blow the whistle there for the break we play on. No, there is the half-time whistle in the Al Janoub Stadium. Mitch Duke has claimed his big moment on the world stage. Superb header to give Australia the lead, and after that walloping by France in their opening game, we have seen much fighting spirit for the men from down under. Can they keep it up, Karen, in the second half?
I certainly hope so, because that first half was really entertaining for me personally. I certainly enjoyed that. Yeah, from the first whistle it was just physical, off. And it looks as though Hannibal's made up with Mitch Duke, so it looks like things are going to be fine going forward. I don't know, they must know each other.
Yes, that is a lovely moment, and if you missed it earlier on, Duke was down injured. Hannibal Majiri threw the ball back onto the pitch, and he hit Duke on the head, and he's come over there, and they've both smiled, and they've given a handshake there as they leave the field. So a nice moment there, nice 45 minutes for Duke and Australia, and maybe, just maybe, their World Cup has finally been kick-started. Tunisia will hope for more in the second half. For now, Tunisia 0, Australia 1.
Yeah, some niceties there as the players go in what has otherwise, Karen, been a bit of a battle that first half. I've just seen a replay again of Duke's header. It was perfectly placed, wasn't it? And I guess you need that kind of perfection to beat the Tunisian back line.
Yeah, it was a delightful header. Honestly, the delivery, although it was deflected, was what was getting so much great results from Craig Goodwin in Australia, and so for it to be deflected, it was well tracked by Mitch Duke to adjust to the flight of the ball and obviously just have a glancing header off the top of his head. And what was so nice about that, it changes the trajectory slightly for the goalkeeper, so it makes it really difficult to kind of adjust in the last minute, and it just sort of dropped ever so slowly into the inside netting of the Tunisian goal. So yeah, really well taken goal, but ultimately, I think that was a huge boost of confidence for Mitch Duke, and then the rest of the team just seemed to really rise to the occasion. And obviously Tunisia has started to, again, there's a shift in momentum towards the Tunisians in the final moments of that game. But yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think the Tunisians might be a bit disappointed, Nader Manura, that the half-time whistle came when it did. They had a bit of momentum behind them. But Karen, in that first half, was talking about the tenacity of the Australian team. Their joy a bit short-lived against the French, but can you see them holding on in this one?
I think so, although they are going to have to suffer if they are going to get that result, because I think for the Tunisia side, you could sense by the way that first half was finishing that, as we were hearing, like there's pressure on them. They believe that they should be winning this game, and now they're behind. Them with a clean sheet, they're a dangerous side. Them being one down, scoring goals isn't necessarily the thing which they're expert at. So I think the second half is going to be very, very interesting, because we're going to be looking at the Socceroos side, and I think defensively they are overall pretty good. But what's it like when the proverbial kitchen sink gets thrown at you? Will they be able to do it? So yeah, I'm looking forward to the second half. It's been a very good, absorbing game, and the two sides have been very even to this point. But now, because it's the second group game, there's that added sense of jeopardy whereby a mistake could mean something far bigger than just the result itself. So Yeah, let's bring it on.
Yes, and the Socceroos, they have the lead, but it's a narrow one. Mitchell Duke's header, though, giving the Socceroos the advantage at the break. They lead Tunisia by a 1-0 in what is quite a crucial game, really, in Group D. A reminder on the way, Poland against Saudi Arabia will be our second game of the day, kicking off at 1 o'clock. That game coming to you live from Education City. We'll be going to our team there, P. Meulenstein and Pat Nevin, very shortly to look ahead to that fixture. But for now, we can take to the news on 5 Live. That's with Sarah Green.
Take the World Cup with you. Qatar 2022.
On BBC Sounds, this is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The author of a report on the London Fire Brigade says he found enormous amounts of abuse towards women and people from ethnic minorities. Nazir Afzal, who's the former Chief Crown Prosecutor for North West England, was called in to lead a review after the suicide of a trainee firefighter.
What I was hearing was testimony of people that were broken. There appeared to be a substantial amount of unresolved and untreated PTSD, where people had experienced it but just not been able to share what had been happening to them, and having no confidence or little confidence in being able to share what happened to them. There were people who were suicidal. I've had to refer them to services to give them help.
The Commissioner of the London Fire Brigade, Andy Rose, says the findings cannot be ignored and there's no place for discrimination or bullying. Footage shared on social media in China appears to show fresh protests against COVID restrictions. It follows a fire in a block of flats in the Xinjiang region, which killed 10 people. Local officials have denied claims that lockdown rules prevented people from escaping. An average of 15.1 million people watched England draw 0-0 with the USA in the World Cup yesterday, according to overnight figures. Many fans were disappointed with the team's performance, which still leaves them top of the group. But Billy Grant, who runs the Besotted Brentford podcast and is in Doha, disagrees.
I mean, I'm not disappointed. I know there's a lot of boos in the stadium yesterday, which I thought was a little bit probably uncalled for. I understand fans have gone out there, gone a long way, and they want to see a real performance. But for me, the skill is to stay in the tournament, to just eat the points away and get into the knockout stages. And that's what we've done, because we've pretty much qualified for this. Unless Wales beat us maybe by 3 or 4 goals, we're in the next round, and that's all we need.
The figures show 3.9 million people watched Wales lose 2-0 to Iran yesterday lunchtime. Wales now need to beat England on Tuesday to progress. And 2,500 people have posed naked on Bondi Beach in Australia to raise awareness of skin cancer. The event was organised by the photographer Spencer Tunick, who's known for creating artworks of naked crowds.
The best live sport.
The FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022.
Coverage of every game on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. On Tuesday night at 7, the home nations collide in Group B as Wales take on England.
I always feel like Wales are better when they're the underdogs, and nothing is impossible.
This is the World Cup. This is tough games against tough teams.
Miracles do happen, and you never know.
Take the World Cup with you.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
BBC 5 Live.
The FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022 with Emma Saunders.
So second half commentary to come then in Australia against Tunisia. Australia are leading that one 1-0 at the break. That would move them up to 3 points in Group D and give them a fighting chance to make it through to the knockout stages. Now, 5 days ago, Saudi Arabia pulled off one of the biggest shocks in World Cup history, coming from behind to beat Argentina 2-1. So the next challenge they face today, they take on Poland, who begin their campaign with a goalless draw against Mexico. We're going to be bringing you this game from 1 o'clock this afternoon. P. Meulenstein and Pat Nevin will be our commentary team and join us from Education City Stadium. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hello, Emma.
Good to have you. Pat, I have to say, one of the big pluses about Qatar hosting this tournament is just how close everything is together. Because I think it was only an hour or so ago that you were here with us in Studio Apartment in Bin Mahmood, and there you are, Education City.
It is nothing like any World Cup that I've ever been to. I mean, particularly if you go to one in Russia or Brazil. I mean, you're travelling hours and hours and hours in planes, and the logistics are incredible. Now, is just get on the car, drive there, or get Neve to drive you there.
I was going to say, you've made that bit sound very easy.
It's actually, no, I have to say, it's brilliant. The roads are fabulous. You know, as soon as you get away from the very central part, the roads are fantastic. So, purely logistically, it's actually very good.
Well, let's get into this game then, Pin. The opening results set this group up perfectly today. The top two, there we have it, Saudi Arabia against Poland. Wouldn't have said that a few weeks ago, would we?
I know. I think that's the biggest thing for Saudi Arabia coming into this game, is that they, of course, will have so much confidence ahead of this match. The fact that they beat Argentina, they will now think that they can beat any team going into this World Cup. And Poland, who, it was a bit lackluster, really, their game against Mexico.
Oh, I think. Pete, I think we lost you, but we might have you back. You were saying it was a bit lackluster, and then we lost you.
Yeah, sorry, this is what happens, doesn't it, when we're 1,000 miles away from home. But yeah, so it was a little bit lackluster, that game at Poland against Mexico. So I think Saudi Arabia will absolutely have the confidence going into this game. Of course, it's not far from their home, is it? So they will feel like this is a little bit of a home game for them. Plenty of fans. The support is huge. They had a public holiday, didn't they, after they beat Argentina? So they've already been in party mode. So they'll just want to continue that. And the best thing about coming into a World Cup with energy is you've got that energy now to try and go and win on and get into just their second ever appearance in a World Cup knockout stage, if they can do it.
They are in party mode, Pat, but you do sense that actually there's been a bit of a shift here, and now it's game on for getting through to the knockout stages.
Do you know, for many, many years, we look to Africa, you know, to upset the apple cart. You know, South America's always been very strong. Europe, as we know, has been very strong. But we've been waiting for Africa to come through. But it seems to be the Middle East at the moment. I mean, obviously we're having the competition here, and maybe Qatar haven't done so well. But Iran looked brilliant last night in the game I was at. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. And certainly Saudi Arabia, their start has been amazing as well. But it's what Payne's talking about, energy there. Can they continue the energy of those first games? If they can do that, honestly, the European teams are going to struggle. They're going to struggle to live with that, because it's incredible, you know. I'm watching the Saudi Arabian team playing against Argentina, and it wasn't just because they were underdogs. I loved how they were playing. I thought they played brilliant football, and they played it with a love and a passion, and the Iranians were brilliant as well yesterday, doing exactly the same thing. So, you know, I do hope there's a great opportunity they can build different football from different parts of the world. But certainly, this seems to finally, when you've got a World Cup in the Middle East, the Middle Eastern teams have actually got a wee chance. And there's lots of negatives about being here. We know about that. But, you know, remember the positives as well. And it's good that they're getting over their little chance now.
Speaking of the negatives, Payne, from a footballing perspective, and Poland, I know you watched and commentated on their opening draw against Mexico. Where do you think they'll be looking to try and make things right in this opportunity now against Saudi Arabia? Where were they really lacking?
Well, I think going forward, which sounds incredible to say because they've got a key man in Robert Lewandowski who leads the line for them. He, of course, had a penalty saved, still hasn't scored in a World Cup, which just seems an incredible statistic. I mean, Poland, very good at set pieces. I don't think they've actually scored, I was reading the other day, a goal from open play for 20 years in a World Cup, which is just crazy. So I think they absolutely need to improve on going forward. It will be interesting to see how they can get those wingers into action. Matty Cash, of course, we know him from Aston Villa. They've got Zalewski as well and Berezinski, who have three players that enjoy going forward and enjoy getting those attacks. But they were playing it safe against Mexico. I don't know if either side really... I think they were thinking more this is a must not lose than a must win game, whereas for Poland today this has to be a must win because they face a very bruised Argentina in their last game, and Argentina will be doing everything they can to try and pick up points in their last two games.
It's going to be all eyes on Group C from 1 o'clock this afternoon with Payne and Pat, who are going to be back for build-up and commentary on Poland against Saudi Arabia. That'll be after midday, a little bit later on as well, as Payne just touched on there. The other two teams in Group C, Mexico, Argentina, going toe-to-toe this evening. That one kicking off at 7 o'clock. So the one a little bit earlier, Poland, Saudi Arabia, the second of 4 World Cup commentaries on 5 Live today. I mentioned there Argentina, Mexico to follow a bit later, and France, Denmark as well. So lots to look forward to. But away from the World Cup in rugby union, it's the final round of men's autumn internationals. Wales face Australia in Cardiff, followed by England taking on the world champion South Africa. That's at 5:30. Correspondent Chris Jones joins us now. Chris, how are you doing?
Hi there, Emma. How's it going?
Yeah, all good, thank you. We'll start with Wales then, beaten by Georgia last week. Less than a year until the World Cup, and head coach Wayne Pivac is under huge pressure, you'd say, going into this one.
You really would, Emma. You know, we called the title of our latest Rugby Union Weekly podcast a must-win for all sides, because it feels like all four teams today desperately need a win to salvage not only their autumns but also their 2022 in general. But no one needs the win more than Wales and Wayne Pivac, humbled at home by Georgia last weekend. Remember, they were humbled by Italy in March. They've only won 3 games out of 11 this year. They have to get a reaction. A poor performance, another defeat, would perhaps leave Wayne Pivac's job untenable, even though that World Cup is edging closer. So it's a massive game for Pivac and for Wales this afternoon against Australia.
You'll be at Twickenham today for England against South Africa at 5:30. It's the first meeting between the sides since the 2019 World Cup final. It is the South Africa director of rugby, Rassie Erasmus, though, who's dominated the build-up to this one.
Yeah, that's been the case for much of the last year. Remember, he copped a year-long ban for his criticism of the refereeing in the 2021 Lions series, and then he's just got another 2-match ban for further sarcastic tweets about the officiating. But it feels that even some stalwart South African ex-players are saying, like, come on, Erasmus, let's concentrate on the rugby and stop complaining about refereeing. Fascinating matchup, though, this. Both sides have had up and down autumns. A win would go a long way to showing they're on the right track ahead of that World Cup next year. So, yeah, one that is going to be a big old showdown at Twickenham this afternoon.
Yeah, lots to look forward to a bit later on. Thanks very much, Chris. We'll bring you updates from Cardiff and from Twickenham throughout the afternoon. There's plenty of reaction and analysis in the Rugby Union Weekly podcast on BBC Sounds. Back to the Middle East, though, for now, to Qatar, where the players are coming out at the Al Janoub Stadium. Let's head back to our commentary team then for the second half of Tunisia against Australia. The Australians with the advantage, thanks to Mitchell Duke and that header in the first half. Here to take you through the second 45, Karen Bardsley, alongside Conor McNamara.
Thanks very much, Emma. Tunisia, no great surprise, are going to make a change. And for Jenny Sezi, the Al Duhal midfielder, he plays his club football here in Qatar, he's going to come on. So they needed to freshen up something. They were under an awful lot of pressure in that first half, Tunisia. And he has come on to replace Mohamed Drager, the Nottingham Forest player who's been on loan in Switzerland this season. So Saizi comes in. I wonder, will that make a change? They had 3 central defenders, 2 wing backs. They've taken off one of the wing backs now to bring on a midfielder. We'll wait till the game gets restarted to see if there is any change in formation from Tunisia, who haven't had a shot on target in the game so far. One brilliant block by Harry Suter, but Karen Bardsley, Matt Ryan, the Australian goalkeeper, hasn't had a single save to make.
No, he hasn't. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes forward, because obviously now the pressure's going to be on Tunisia to continue to pressure the Australian goal. So he's going to have to managing moments, make sure that he's staying connected with his back four, and make sure he's switched on, because at any moment in time he could be called upon, and we've seen those warning signs in the first half.
Tunisia haven't had a lot of opportunities in the game. They did have a lot of shots against Denmark. There's a chance here for Jabali to come forward, and just about cleared away by Kyle Rolls at the back. And he needs a little bit of support here, and Jackson Irvine is back, and that's the cost of a corner. Good start to the second half for Tunisia, and they need this. I was mentioning there that they had a lot of attempts against Denmark, but all off targets. And so far in this World Cup, Tunisia played a game and a half. They've attempted 17 shots in all, and only one of them has been on target. They need to be more clinical. Can they make this corner kick count? Tunisia all in white, Australia navy blue. Corner's an in-swinger, and it's a brave header away by Harry Suter, who got down and cleared it away, and he's been caught as he did so. He's holding his left leg. He threw his body in the way of danger there, but he got the ball away for his country.
Yeah, absolutely. Put his body on the line. That's what you want to see from this Australian defence. I think this obviously carries a lot of weight, this game, in terms of going through the knockout stages. So it's great to see that commitment from Harry Suter, and it will just be a knock of knees. And again, it looks like it's the mustachioed Mr. Irvine getting in the way.
we had an incident in the first half where the goalkeeper collided with his own player, and there Harry Souttar running into a teammate, Jackson Irvine. Tunisian fans still buoyant, still noisy, still hoping there's a way back into this for their team at just 1-0 down. So a reminder of the teams then. Ayman Dachman in goal for Tunisia. Defenders Dylan Braun, Yassine Maria and Montesor Talbi have been very busy in that first half. And it does look a little bit more, well, I was going to say a bit more of a flat back, but it's not really. They still have those three central defenders. Sassi's taking the role on the right, Abdi as the left wing back. In the middle of the midfield, Elias Skiri and Laidouni. As here, a chance to break into the penalty area, but nothing doing at the end of it by Abdi, and Souttar is on hand again to clear the ball away. The front three for Tunisia, Naim Sliti, Issam Jebeli and Youssef Mstekni, who had that big chance towards the end of the first half that he put wide. Here is Sliti, he's another who had an opportunity in the first half, leaning backwards as he delivers a cross into the centre. It's Jackson Irvine who clears it away with his upper thigh. No great distance on that. Aaron Moy nods it down, but Australia still haven't cleared it away. And there's a clear evidence here that Tunisia are in the faces of their opponents a lot more now, and they're not allowing Australia comfortably clear away as they did in the first half. Absolutely not. They look like they've really had a bit of a, I was going to say a naughty word then. Don't do that. Don't do that. Too early in the morning. It's 10 past 11. It would seem as though they've had a strong talking to at halftime, and they've certainly made some more attacking changes in the likes of Sazi going on. But it looks as though, Skiri's dropped into the midfield, into the back three as well, and it certainly seems as though El Douni is getting forward a bit more. Here's a chance to attack down the left for Abdi. Good defending by Karasis to get back goal side and to make the challenge, and Abdi felt he was fouled, but the referee has given the free kick the other way. So Australia, who, it's not been that they've been tested multiple times in defence, but on the few occasions that Tunisia have threatened, Australia have stood very tall and firm. Yeah, they're certainly resolute. I think they know that they're in for a relatively long half, it would seem. Tunisia's started out exceptionally well on the front foot, and the likelihood of being caught out in the second half in the first moments, it's a high likelihood that your mind's still in the changing room. Ali Abdi wins a header, but Sazi wasn't able to control it. A chance for Australia to come on the attack, and Jackson Irvine's ball to the left-hand side is returned immediately by Goodwin. That was an excellent technique. He hit it full of the volley across first time and trying to pick out the goal scorer Mitch Duke, and on this occasion too many defenders around him, and Tunisia cleared the ball away. It was an excellent idea to use his first touch as that pass into the box, and I think it caught a lot of people unawares, because I think they were expecting Craig Goodwin to take the ball down, but well adjusted, and it was a shame that the attackers just kind of weren't on the same page. Just seen on our monitors, Wami Kazri, the former Sunderland player who plays in France with Montpellier these days. He's on the bench. Didn't start the first game either. A player who was expected to be one of the first names in the team sheet for Tunisia. He's the only player to score multiple World Cup goals for Tunisia in the past, but he's just a spectator for now, as a foul here on Jebali gives a free kick to Tunisia inside the Australia half. You've definitely seen a lot more attacking mindset from Tunisia in the second half already. You've seen some much more effective probing passes into the midfield, a bit longer into Jebeli, who's kind of dropping in as almost like a 10. So they're looking to get the wingers forward, and I think Msakni and Sliti and Sazi coming on with the likes of Abdi getting forward a bit more are going to be really threatening. Free kick to Tunisia, midway inside the Australian half. Promising position this. Plenty options for Naim Sliti, who's standing over it. And no surprise to see Australia bring everyone back into defence. Here's the delivery from Sliti. Matt Ryan decided early he was coming. He punches it away. He clatters into Maria, the Tunisian, but that was strong, competent goalkeeping from Matt Ryan, who once he'd made the decision he was coming for that, he had to get there, Karen. He had to get there, and I didn't think he was going to for a moment. The flight of the ball just kind of hung a little bit, and I just wasn't sure if he was going to get there in time to make contact, but fortunately it was effective for the Australians. Give us the goalkeeping opinion on this. I often say this in commentary. I often say the goalkeepers decided early to come. Do you sometimes make decisions where you think, I'm coming for this, and then go, oh dear, I shouldn't have? Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, that's definitely happened to me before, but yeah, you got to be fully committed, I think.
Because if you're not, even just a moment of hesitation can create even more chaos.
And I think just to kind of double click on that, and we will in a moment, as Sleety breaks into the penalty area down the right hand side, and it's blocked by Jackson Irvine. Maybe a chance for Jabali. Tunisia are really upping the ante here in the second half as the ball is cleared away. There's jeers and whistles from the Tunisian crowd, and I think they feel there might have been a penalty shout in there. In any event, it's going to be a free kick for a foul on Layadouni, as Tunisia tried to take it quickly and the referee wasn't ready, and it's all very frantic, but this is what Tunisia needed to do.
Fantastic.
They had to rattle the cage a little bit here, and they've got themselves a free kick, and they're putting much more pressure on the Australian defence, Tunisia, now than they did in the whole of the first half.
Cagey indeed. Cagey indeed. I think it's a great mindset from Sleety to get into the box, take people on. You never know, you might draw a foul, penalty, but then it seems as though that the Tunisians are really switched on to the second phase as well. I think Jabali was all over that ball that was kind of deflected a little bit. So opportunities are flying into the Tunisians' favour at the minute, and I'm not so sure about that foul though.
Well, the challenge came in on Layadouni, and it was by Riley McGree, the Middlesbrough player. And it has given Tunisia this free kick, which you'd imagine is too far out for a shot, but good location to try and dink one into the box.
You never know, right?
Well, you never know, yeah. Here it is. It is played in as a cross, and big Harry Souttar gets up again and clears the ball away. It falls to Layadouni. This is the difference. In the first half, Tunisia would play it forward, they'd lose possession, and Australia would counter-attack. This time round, it's the Australians who are giving it back to Tunisia, as has just happened here. Ball is played forward by Maria. Header out and away by Behic, the left back. Aaron Moy hooks it over his shoulder, but it's not an accurate pass, straight towards Sezi, and then a challenge comes in on the substitute for Jenny Sezi, and that's another free kick, and Australia giving away more fouls now than they were in the opening 45 minutes.
Lecky left one on there. Sezi taking a nice little shoulder barge there. Welcome to the game, my friend.
Absolutely into the thing. I want to go back to the goalkeepers making decisions.
Go on then.
I think the point, and I didn't sort of explain it properly, is do you sometimes think with a free kick like that, I'm coming for this, before it's even played? Or do you always have to wait and see it coming?
I think it's in your mind. I definitely think it's in your mind. If you put yourself in a position where you go, right, if the trajectory looks right, I'm going.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, then you got to stay. So you have to be prepared for what that might look like in your head. And you have to know your range, and it's all defined by the starting position. It's defined by the height of the line, as you so elegantly alluded to earlier. The corridor of uncertainty seems to be getting bigger and bigger. But no, he was more than competent in that moment, Matty Ryan.
That's the voice of Karen Bardsley, well known from England and Manchester City, watching this game with us here. 5 Live and BBC Sounds and across Africa on the BBC World Service, where Tunisia are up against it now, 1-0 down in their second game of the tournament. Possession with Sezi near the centre circle. A lot more pressure on the Australian defence, and the end which Tunisia were defending away to the right hand side is the end that's seeing all the territory at the moment. Aaron Moy's going to try and dig his way out here. He's done well to smuggle it through 3 opponents in the midfield and get it to Matthew Leckie on the right hand side. Leckie runs in through. They're really rolling up their sleeves now, the Aussies. Here's a chance. Jackson Irvine attacking the penalty area to Goodwin on the left hand side. Angle is tight, swings in a dangerous cross, and Mitch Duke can't get there despite the stretch, and it fizzes through the 6-yard box and it squirts away to safety out the other side. That's the best attack from Australia in this second half so far. They still lead 1-0.
It certainly is. Done really, really well to travel with the ball there, Irvine, and then see the space out to Craig Goodwin there, and a lovely whipped in cross, and unfortunately Riley McGee just couldn't get on the end of it. But I thought that maybe the Tunisian goalkeeper Damen got a fingertip to that one, but nonetheless, here we are.
Riley McGee is a great name, isn't it? Just sounds like a character in a TV show. Riley McGee.
Did you ever see Saturday Night Live? Is that something that you used to watch?
Yeah.
There's a perfect sketch, and I can't say the first name, I'm afraid, but yeah, McGee, that was a... Do you know it? Yeah, I know you know it now. I can tell. Go look it up, kids.
We need to do a late night game at some stage, Carol. We can delve into these a bit more. Not the 10 a.m. kickoffs. Right, Tunisia 0, Australia 1. Down the right hand side comes Fran Karasis. Delivery into the penalty area, looking for big Mitch Duke again, who's been such an outlet. The centre forward, he's always there sniffing around, looking for chances. That delivery was just a little bit too high for him, and it goes out of play for a throw into Tunisia. Right full back position for them. Dylan Braun clears it away, comes back off Goodwin. Braun gets a second bite of the cherry, Shaqiri, and this time his clearance is up to the halfway line where Jabali feels the heat off the Australian defender Kai Rolls. Game that's been played at a fast tempo right from the get-go. Flag is raised here. Sleety had strayed offside.
We're seeing like a numerous amount of players getting forward. So at one point I think I saw about 7 of the Tunisian players get in and around the Australian box. So I mean, it certainly goes to show a shift in mentality towards the second half. I think it's all on the line for Tunisia, and they certainly know it. And you got to go into a game like this leaving absolutely nothing out there.
Here comes Matt Leckie again, holds it up well midway inside the Tunisian half. Support outside from Karasis, who's been well tracked all the way. And Ali Abdi wasn't giving up there. Having shadowed Leckie, he sprinted across to cover Karasis, and he blocks the attempted cross. And it'll be a throw into Australia, level with the edge of the penalty area. They attack down the right-hand side. The Aussies wearing navy blue with green trim, their change kit. Tunisia all in white with the red trim. Long throw in from Karasis, which actually bounces just over the head of the defender on the edge of the 6-yard box and bounces up into the arms of Ahmed Damon, the Tunisian goalkeeper. And still the Tunisian supporters wait for their team to get on the scoreboard. Tunisia 0, Australia 1. Australia showing very good grit and energy in the game. Aaron Moy, neat and tidy in the middle of the midfield, rolls it back to Harry Souttar. For the first time in the game, Australia retreat in possession. They literally haven't done it all game long. We gave you that quote from the manager. We'll come back to it in just a moment, because here's McGree into the penalty area, and Maria deals with him very well. That's composed defending, and McGree's frustrated, and he commits a foul on Maria, and that's going to be a free kick to Tunisia. But the quote before the game from Graham Arnold, he said, we're going to fight fire with fire, especially from the start, but then when we go in front, we're going to put the fire out. And I wonder, as this game creeps on and we reach the hour mark, are they going to reach for the fire extinguisher here, Australia? They're going to start playing a little bit more conservative. There's just been the slightest bit of evidence that might be the case. Laidouni has possession for Tunisia inside the Australian half, gives it back to Skiri, low ball to Laidouni again. Remember, the crowd has got a whistle and he's blowing it at all occasions, but players aren't being affected at the moment. Here's a chance to cross from the left-hand side, but leaning back away from it. Masakni can't pick out a teammate. It gets parried away just about, and Australia relieved to see it out of the penalty area and away.
Oh, that could have gone anywhere. Little flat palm from Matty Ryan to deflect that. Well, I'm not sure if it was a cross or a shot, to be honest, but it was certainly a questionable moment in terms of where that deflection was going to go.
Here comes Tunisia again. Ali Abdi down the left-hand side, keeps the ball in play, has to look up on his left-favoured right boot. He sends in a weak cross, an in-swinger that's headed away by the first defender, Harry Souttar, and he clears it out for a Tunisian throw on the left-hand side. It's much more competitive this second half in terms of territory. Australia had all the ball down the Tunisian end in the first half, but the North Africans have showed up a lot better in this second period. That's a poor pass though. Yassine Maria gives it away in the midfield, instantly won back by Naeem Sleety. Oh, that was a great pass that he played, and his own teammate cut it out there. He was sending it out to El Abdi on the left wing, and I think it was Masakni who didn't know his teammate was behind, and he stretched to get there, and he ended up blocking what would have been otherwise a very good pass.
We've seen some sloppiness and some complacency come into this Australian side. I'm quite surprised by some of these clearances and some of these decisions. Looks as though the pressure from the Tunisians is really starting to get to them.
I just wonder, is it that sense when you are 1-0 up and you just want to keep doing what you're doing, rather than, you imagine the team talks at half time, Tunisians, it's all about change things, get better, improve. As the shot comes in from distance from Saizi, but from your experience, can it be difficult in a team when you are in front and there's still such a long way to go, and you're sort of feeling we don't need to change things here? Is that a difficult mentality?
There's this mentality, this thing that kind of starts to change about the way you perceive things, and I think it's when you're ahead, you've got something to lose, and then when you're behind, you're obviously like trying to get something off the opposition. So yeah, I think, who knows if that's something that's crept in, but I'm just curious as to where this performance was in the first half from the Tunisians.
Yeah, they've taken a while to show up, but they have shown up now. Plenty of activity down around the Australian bench. It looks like there is a double change coming there, and maybe Graham Arnold anticipating a bit what we've been referring to about Australia, just gone into a little bit of a stagnant phase in a game that they've been so up-tempo and so dominant in for the majority of it. Tunisia 0, Australia 1. 5 Live for the BBC. The Qatar World Cup continuing with Poland against Saudi Arabia next at 4 o'clock this afternoon UK time. This group, France against Denmark, and then later on this evening a 7 o'clock start for Argentina against Mexico. Some big games today. 1 goal in this game so far, scored by Mitch Duke. You can catch it with Gabby Logan and the highlights of all of today's World Cup action. BBC One tonight from 10:30 this evening. Looks like Aiden Ristic is going to come on, the Verona midfielder, and Jamie McLaren as well, who's regarded as the best attacker in the A-League. He's the number 9 in this Australian squad. And it'll be interesting to see if it is Mitch Duke that he comes on to take the place of. Those changes haven't happened yet. Tunisia have possession. Throw in on the left-hand side for Ali Abdi. Gives it back to Montasar Talbi. Now in field to Yassine Maria over the halfway line, stepping into Australian territory once again. A ball into Sassi, who gives it away in the midfield. Australia get it back, but Goodwin can't pick out a pass, and Tunisia regain possession once again.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Sassi. He's made a huge impact coming on. I think he's kind of secured that midfield space, whereas before there was kind of nothing there at all in terms of the Tunisians going through the midfield. It was just lumping it as long as they could into the channel. So to kind of get someone, in the midfield to secure it, to actually get some playing through, seems to have kept the transition, but also allowed Tunisia to get forward and consistently attack more, which I think has been really beneficial to this second half.
There's a foul by Riley McGree near the centre circle. Foul on Elias Sekiri. This break and play provide the opportunity for Australia to make the changes. So the number's been held up, and Mitch Duke will make way. So he scored his goal, a fantastic header. That is a moment he will never forget. Wonderful celebration too with the kid in the crowd, and it'll be McLaren who comes on as the centre forward to replace Mitch Duke up front. And also coming on, Aiden Ristic, who was a huge doubt for this game with an ankle injury. The coach in the press conference yesterday, Graham Arnold, said that Ristic was only 95% fit, but he comes on. He's one of the few players in the Aussie squad who plays in one of the top 5 European leagues. He's with Verona in Italy. He was with Eintracht Frankfurt last year. He was in the team that won the Europa League. He's a player they desperately want to get on the pitch, and he gets some game time now. Tunisia 0, Australia 1, and Ristic on into the midfield in place of McGree. Free kick to Australia, foul on Jackson Irvine, and another yellow card is shown. It's just the second booking of the game. It's for Ali Abdi, the Can left back, and he steps away, having seen his name enter the referee's notebook.
It'll be great to see how these changes impact the Australian side. You heard from on the touchline. I don't know if you noticed that, Connor, when the substitutions were coming on. But the manager was like, bring some energy, and you can just see that he recognized that the momentum was starting to shift.
Yeah, so that I'm just seeing that Tim Cahill now, who's come up on the television screens. Great striker for Everton. He won't like the moment. At the 90 minutes, he probably had a lovely smile on his face, and he's just sort of chewing the inside of his gum there as the cameras of the global audience came on him. The former Everton attacker who's been in Qatar for some time, and did the Qatar game yesterday. They've had this Aspire Academy where all the young kids have been sort of farmed almost ahead of this World Cup. But Tim Cahill's been working with them for several years as part of their coaching staff for that.
Oh, I didn't realise that. No, it's a great academy, actually. We had the chance to go over there with England for one of our warm weather training camps.
I'd imagine the facilities were pretty
It was fantastic.
plush.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We even got to go do some off-roading. Phil Neville organised some desert duning.
Which of your teammates is the best desert duner? Hang on, more of that in just a moment. As Tunisia attack down the left-hand side. Chance of a shot, Masakni, but he can't get it through on target. Australia making sure they had enough defenders back behind the ball and able to clear it away. Masakni had a big chance in the first half, but couldn't get his shot on target. And on that particular occasion, he couldn't get the shot through because of the defenders. Down goes Jabali in the penalty area. He looks accusingly at the referee, but nothing doing with Germany's Daniel Siebert, who waves play on.
That was a fantastic ball in. It's just a shame that obviously no one was there to be on the end of it. I think there was a bit of a tangle of bodies on the Tunisians' way to the Australian goal. But yeah, again, really threatening.
Tunisia's possession in this second half has been over 70%, which is a stark contrast to the way the opening 45 minutes panned out. If you're just joining our coverage on 5 Live on BBC Sounds, or indeed across Africa on BBC's World Service, The goal from Duke has Australia in front, but it's a different Tunisia in the second half, and they're banging on the door now as Jabali tries to get to the byline down the left-hand side. He wanted to get a corner, but Harry Suter got his large frame in front of the ball, and he shepherded and he shielded it and he anchored himself, and he got it out for just a goal kick. Tunisia going to make a change. Familiar face of Wabi Kazri. He used to play in England with Sunderland. Will come on. He's got 24 international goals in the past. His omission from the starting lineup on Tuesday and today would suggest he's not fully fit, but desperate times lead to desperate measures, and like Dooney, who's in the referee's notebook, is the player who is hooked to allow Wabi Kazri, 31 years of age now, very creative player, to come on into the midfield.
I think that's a clever substitution, especially since Ladoni was obviously carrying a yellow card, and with the aggression of this game and the physicality, it seemed like it was only a matter of time.
He's
so
almost
perhaps he was going to pick
Yeah.
up another one. So yeah, I think well managed from the manager there. And I'm looking forward to seeing Kazri play. I think he's obviously been touted as a very aggressive pressing player. That, is very good in his 1v1s, but he also does the work off the ball in terms of his second phases and picking up those first and second balls. So he'll be enthusiastic to score, and he'll bring some energy across the pitch, which is what Tunisia needs to kind of keep this momentum in their favour.
Kazri into the game. Just seen some wonderful sportsmanship there from Graham Arnold, the Australian coach, who's on the side of the pitch as the ball came to him, and he swings his leg as if he's trying to kick it back on, and then, oh dear, a fresh air shot, I missed it, and that means that it's going to waste a few seconds. And I think that's the first sign of what is going to be fire extinguisher time as Australia look to put out the Tunisian fire now. And I think the 1-0 lead they're beginning to feel might be what they've got to hold on to. That's unfortunate for Tunisia. Jabali in the penalty area wasn't able to flick it onto Sleety. It wouldn't have counted anyway. The flag was raised for offside.
Yeah, I love that you picked up on that. It's slowly starting to creep in, this game management now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's
every
tight,
team
isn't it?
does it, right? If you've got a lead in these circumstances, you run. It drives the opposition mad.
Oh, it does.
But what team doesn't do it?
No, of course it does. And as soon as you start seeing maybe Matty Ryan take a little bit longer to get up off the ground and those types of things, it's just going to wind everyone up. But hey, it's what it takes in these types of games, isn't it? You want to get through, and you got to do whatever it takes to get yourself to the next through the game, and then obviously hopefully to the next round for Australia.
Yeah, I'm going to be very cynical now and say I'm going to look into my crystal ball, and there is going to be an Australian injury in the next few minutes. they're just, our hopes and prayers are with the poor individual who's going to need the treatment.
I'll leave it to the sponge, it'll be all right.
Yeah, here is Ristic down the right hand side, puts the ball one side of the defender, tries to run around the other. He goes down. They're nothing doing with the referee though. And Tunisia regained possession, but they're still back in their own final third. They'll be disappointed how they played in the first half of this game. The North Africans much better in the second period. Have they left it too late? Australia at this stage are very grateful for that Duke goal in the first half, because without it, they're not threatening anywhere near as much themselves. It looks at the moment more likely Tunisia might grab an equaliser than Australia would double the lead, but you never know. And with all the pressure forward from Tunisia, it might leave gaps at the back for an Australian counter-attack. Here comes the substitute Kazri, tried to shrivel and take the ball with him but wasn't able to. Sazi will pick it up near the halfway line here. Tunisia playing from left to right as we look down. The clock ticks on and there's 20 minutes plus the stoppages to go, which means there's probably about an hour to play given the amount of stoppages that are being added on at this tournament so far. I mean, you don't know. The bottom line is, Carrot, there's a long way to go.
I think unpredictability is a theme of this tournament so far. So yeah, you're absolutely right. There's plenty of time to adapt and make some changes. But speaking of changes, I think we're starting to see a lot of gaps appear in both the Australian and the Tunisian team. So it's going to just keep opening up, and it's exciting.
Yeah, Bajic at left back under pressure for Australia, clears it away. Now this is what Tunisia were doing in the first half, just walloping it clear, just giving the ball back to their opponents, and Australia have not been able to retain possession anywhere near as effectively as they did earlier in the match. Bajic gets it again, feels the heat from Wabi Kazri right into the back of him. Good strength from Bajic, who's got 55 caps. He's an experienced player and he did well there. Now Jamie McLaren, first time he's been involved. What a ball across the face of goal, and Matthew Leckie sliding in like Gaza at Euro 96 was a whisker away from doubling Australia's lead, and that could have put the game to bed right there. Brilliant cross from Jamie McLaren, and Matthew Leckie, straining every sinew, just couldn't get there.
Oh my goodness, you could see just off the right hand side as the ball was played out to the left that a cross was going to come in, and you could see Lecky absolutely busting a gut to get there and get in the box, and I thought, oh, he's seen it, he's in. But it just looks ever so close, and he's just, what a great opportunity for Australia.
Here is Sleety, good ball into the penalty area, shot by Masakny, and it comes back off the gloves of Matt Ryan. It's still in play. Masakny's cross into the middle. Khazri wasn't tall enough to jump and win the header, and it's cleared away with relief by Behic. Tunisia have begun to throw the kitchen sink at it now.
Honestly, and the rest, this is just end-to-end stuff. It's fantastic.
Maria, crossfield ball over to the left wing, controlled on the inset by Masakny, whose presence in the game is becoming more dominant. He bursts in field, looking for the gap to shoot, gets the shot in, but it's straight down the barrel, and it's saved by Matt Ryan, who falls onto his belly, and he holds the ball closely to his chest.
I told you we'd start seeing some of this. Yes. This is a great opportunity from Masakny here. But yeah, he puts Matty Ryan under pressure, makes him make a save, but Tunisia did well to kind of maintain the attack as well.
Then there was the chance when the cross came in from Jamie McLaren, and sliding in was Lecky. Oh, it's agonising.
Abdi was nowhere near him.
He streaked along the turf in the aftermath. Fraction of a second stop. Those are the tiny margins. Matthew Lecky within a hair's breadth of a World Cup goal, and the Australian fans thought that was the moment that they got their first win of this tournament. Having been heavily beaten by France, they are 1-0 up here. The second goal would make it much more comfortable viewing for the Australians. Right, change is coming up for Tunisia. And the striker, Issam Jabali, who's had a good game, his work is now done. Coming on, Wadja Ketcherida, who plays in Greece. And also coming on is Taha Yassin Kinsey, who plays his club football in Kuwait. He's a forward. He's got 9 international goals in the past. Tunisia desperately need a goal here. Defending to do at the moment is Aaron Moy. Tries a ball that bounced just in front of him, and he hit it on the upswing, and it sails over the crossbar. 1-0 it remains.
Oh my goodness. I mean, what an opportunity for Moy there. It's just a shame that he couldn't quite stay over the top of it. It looks like he just caught it on the outside of the laces of his boot, and it just started to spin away, and that's a shame, because if that was on target, it could have been top bins.
Yeah, Ketcherida's come on in place of Dylan Braun, one of the 3 central defenders who was relegated with Metz in France last season and moved to Italy in the summer. So Ketcherida, along with Maria and Talbi, are the defenders now, and everyone else has got to push into attack as Tunisia desperately go in search of their first goal of this World Cup. They have done well. They have looked promising in so many areas, but they haven't scored at this tournament yet. Here's a cross from Sleety. Oh, that was a good delivery, and Khazri couldn't get up off the ground, and it was a cross wires between Khazri and Masakny, and they both didn't want to get in each other's way, and neither of them were able to get a firm glancing touch on it. There was a touch from the defender Rolls which might have put them off. Masakny angled his body, got his head to it, but couldn't get it on target.
Yeah, Rolls did well to put everyone off in terms of their timing. But yeah, that again, another warning shot coming across the bow there for the Australians.
Very anxious faces now amongst the Tunisian supporters in the crowd. 1-0 down, time beginning to run out, just over a quarter of an hour of normal time to play. And Australia got to make a change, and they will bring off Fran Karasis, who was the one change in the starting 11 today from that opening defeat against France, and they will bring on Milos Degenek, who plays in MLS these days with Columbus Crew, and he will come on to earn his 40th cap, the number 2, slotting in his regular position of right back. He was in the World Cup squad 4 years ago in Russia, Degenek, but he never made it onto the pitch. Here he is up against Tunisia at the Al Janoub Stadium. A reminder of what's coming up next on 5 Live. Poland against Saudi Arabia will be getting started in less than an hour and a half. Then in this group, Group D, the 4 o'clock kickoff is a good one. France against Denmark. Alan Shearer will be part of our commentary team on 5 Live for that one. And later on this evening, Argentina, Mexico. Big moment for Argentina, having lost the opening game against Saudi Arabia, and they could be in big trouble if things don't go their way tonight. You can listen to that game in full here on BBC Sport. As the ball goes out of play for a throw into Tunisia down the right hand side, Naim Sleety, and the pressure keeps coming from the North Africans, but can they get that all-important equaliser?
Well, I mean, from a non-biased standpoint, that would be a fantastic addition to this game. But yeah, the Tunisians are threatening, and if I'm being completely honest here, Connor, it feels like it's only a matter of time But so far, the Australians have withstood the pressure from the Tunisians.
Time is the key. Will there be enough time for Tunisia? Certainly they are mounting attack after attack. They are getting closer. And they're disappointed that the few chances they've had have been straight at Matt Ryan in recent times. That huge chance for Misakni in the first half that he put wide, that was the one they really should have scored. Here is Aaron Moy, neat, tidy passing again. He's been very efficient in the middle of the midfield. Sliding in is Matthew Leckie on Maria, who's made more tackles in the game than anyone else, does very well. And Leckie is slow to get back to his feet, stretching out, and a few signs of cramp. I did break this news earlier, and we hope he's okay, but surprise, surprise, on cue, an Australian injury, and it won't be the last. I mean, I know I'm being cynical, but this was clearly going to happen. It was his right leg first, and now it's his left leg.
I'm going to ask you for the lottery numbers, I think, because you're pretty good at these predictions. It looks like fatigue's definitely creeping in, and the intensity of this game in particular has just been intense. So, I mean, the coaches here are discussing, what it could potentially be and whether or not a substitution needs making. But yeah, I mean, he's again stretching every single sinew and inch of his body to get to that challenge.
It's been a wonderfully committed performance.
It sure has.
I mean, both teams have been full-blooded, but I've admired how the Australians, it's been a controlled aggression, if you like. They have given it everything but remained disciplined.
Yeah, absolutely. You did think an element of what's the word I'm looking for? I guess recklessness was going to creep in, but yeah, to your point, it's been really well managed in terms of putting tackles in when they need to whether it's slow the game down, manage it, or just kind of make an impact in that particular moment. But
right, referee is hurrying things up. Daniel Siebert has told Matthew Leckie, if you want to continue receiving treatment, you can do it on the touchline. You're not delaying any more of this match. So temporarily, Australia down to 10 men, and Leckie will want to get back on quickly now. Tunisia 0, Australia 1. Australia, who would have been facing elimination from the tournament had they lost this game, and they've come out and they've done the job so far, but it ain't over yet. It's a day when the Aussies have had nothing to lose, and if anything, the opening draw for Tunisia against Denmark gave them that little bit of insulation that maybe they haven't quite had the hunger of their opponents today. But now the tables turn and it becomes desperate measures for Tunisia, and this is where they now might begin to feel like they have little to lose. The difference between losing 2-0, 1-0 might make a huge difference in the shape of things here. They might well risk it, conceding another one here to not go and give everything to get an equaliser of their own. A jump by Shazy in the midfield inside the centre circle. Australia get it here with McLaren on the left hand side. This is Ristic. He's got Aaron Moy available. There are 3 in the penalty area here. Moy tries to run down the clock a little bit with a calming ball to Ristic. That's a lovely turn from Moy as he gets it back again, and then his crossfield ball is just a little bit behind Leckie, who's back on the pitch, and Leckie doesn't control it, and that's a mistake, and it returns possession to Tunisia, and the clock ticks on, and we're into the last 10 minutes of normal time now.
Yeah, it's going to come down to managing these final moments here and those types of decisions. I thought we were going to see Australia kind of try to maintain possession a little bit more.
Matt Ryan's come way outside his penalty area here. Oh, the bounce seemed to wobble a bit in front of him, and he held his nerve. He took a deep breath and he cleared it away with his left boot, but he's got a few shades paler there, Matt Ryan, as he was thinking, phew, got away with that one.
Yeah, it's a funny angle, especially on your quote-unquote weaker foot as well when you've got a non-rushing attacker. So he's done well there to manage that, but yeah, that could have been a hairy moment.
I can imagine. What is it like when you're playing in a big game like this? You're a goalkeeper, you find yourself outside the penalty area. I'd say the heart beats a little faster.
It's funny what a chalked line can do, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. The significance of being one side of the line or the other. Matt Ryan, look, he's done well. I don't think he hasn't had any world-class saves to make today. He's dealt with what's come his way. He's handled a few crosses quite well. He could be on the verge of his first ever clean sheet at a World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he has managed the game really, really well. And I do think it is pretty difficult, as a keeper, managing those types of games where you're not really that heavily involved. You're not really making a lot of saves because, when that situation's going on, you've got adrenaline coursing through your veins and you're just constantly involved. But, being calm and managing those moments and kind of staying focused on the tempo of the game and how it's feeling is a really key element to performance like what he's done tonight, or this morning I should say.
Tunisia take on France in the final group game next Wednesday. They'll be hoping that if the French can win today against Denmark, they might be through at that stage. They might put out a weakened team. I mean, these are all the sort of things we'll be considering once we get into those final group games. And remember, there'll be head-to-heads next week. So Tunisia, France and Australia, Denmark will be on at the same time. Here is a chance for Tunisia breaking into the penalty area. On the left-hand side was Misakni, but Harry Suter, who's had a storming game at the back, by any means necessary, gets it out for the corner.
Yeah, he has been excellent. He has been very, very good. And it's just, you're starting to see a bit of like desperation to creep into some of these Australian defences, though, and these clearances.
Wabi Kazri to take the corner, an in-swinger. There was a bit of whip on that. There's appeals from some of the Tunisians. There was a handball. Play on, says the referee. Here is Misakni sliding by the byline. It wasn't a good pass by Kazri. It wasn't a comfortable one to receive, and rather than allow it go out for a goal kick, he slides and puts it out for a throw-in. Kaziri here is continuing the debate about whether there might have been a handball there, and the referee points to his watch and he said, look, I think what he's saying there is, look, if it's a handball, the VAR will let me know.
Yeah. No, it's a shame. There's a bit too much weight on that pass from Kaziri, but Misakni did well to kind of keep the ball in and at least do their best to kind of keep the ball in Australia's defensive third. So fingers crossed that they can maintain that pressure and not let them break their lines.
It's been a very competitive game, this one. Australia hoping that they've done enough here. As down goes Ristic near the halfway line and wins a free kick. And the foul by Ali Abdi as he runs back. He's got to be careful, Ali Abdi. He is the remaining player on the pitch who is on a yellow card. And there's a few who would miss the final group game should they get booked, including Aaron Moy, Jackson Irvine too. The Suter clears away, and we have definitely reached the anywhere will do stage for Australia now. Just get rid of it. Boot it into the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's managing these moments, isn't it? So just giving yourself the opportunity to slow the game down, break up some of the momentum. But, I'm sure we'll see Abdi's long throw provide an opportunity for Tunisia, perhaps.
Tunisia, an equaliser, could keep them unbeaten in the tournament through 2 games. Ali Abdi's long throw, big distance on that one. Headed away by Jackson Irvine. The return shot is on target, but saved. It was the defender, Montessor Talby, and that would have been spectacular. Matt Ryan makes the save.
Yeah, Australia need to do a bit better here with their clearances. When you're talking about clearing the lines, I think, you need to put some height on it, some distance, but the directionality is equally important. It's coming straight back down the middle of the Tunisians, right where they expect it, and it's set up nicely just for another opportunity for Tunisia on the Australian goal. And that type of ball as well, just bouncing right in front of the feet of the goalkeeper, can be potentially tricky, like when you're coming through traffic as well. So all in all, again, yet another flare in the Australian camp.
Right, Tunisia 0, Australia 1 in this group D, where, as things stand, Australia would be going level on points with France at the top of the group, ahead of the French kick-off against Denmark later on today. But having started the day bottom of the group, it might be about to look much better for Australia in just a few minutes' time. They are 1-0 up here, and Tunisia, dramatically running out of time at this stage, need to get their skates on. 6 minutes of normal time to go. There were 5 minutes added on for stoppages at the end of the first half. A few changes coming now for Australia. They'd only made 2 substitutes up till this moment. Ewar Mabil is going to come on. Plays his club football in Spain with Cadiz. He is a winger, and he's going to come on in place of Craig Goodwin. So that's a straight swap. Goodwin, who got the early goal against France last time out, and Matthew Leckie will be the other to make way. He has run his socks almost literally off. They're down around his ankles. He's had a very good game. He'll be pleased with his day. And Keanu Bacchus will come on in place of him. Keanu Bacchus, who was born back when Point Break was in the cinema, and you can work out the reasoning behind that. Before this squad was named, he had only played 7 minutes of international football. He is very much a rookie, but fresh legs have come on for the St Mirren midfielder.
It's so important to kind of maintain the tempo of this game, but and also control it from the Australian standpoint.
Mistake at the back, and Australia haven't made many of those. Maybe a chance here. Kinsey, who'd just come on, but across to cover and make the tackle is Harry Suter. That was a last gasp challenge on the edge of the penalty area. There was no margin for error, and the game has gone fully end to end now as Moy breaks down the other end, looks to hold it up. He's got support outside him from Mabil. It's become ragged now, proper cup up tie as Sakiri brings it forward for Tunisia once again. The players look exhausted. Rolls, thunders into a tackle to win it back for Australia. Aaron Moy gives it away. He's not been careless with many of his passes today. It's won back here for Australia by Irvine on the right hand side, and then is it going to break down? No, they're going to keep it alive just about. Bacchus, possession one. It's so scrappy now in the middle as eventually Tunisia get it back to Dachman, and the goalkeeper plays it out to the right hand side, and we play on with 4 minutes to go. Tunisia 0, Australia 1.
This is incredible. It's just end-to-end stuff, honestly.
Here they come into the penalty area. Ball just in front of Masakni. Oh, he cleverly got it back to Sleety. Chance in the penalty area, controls it and turns it to Suter. And Suter has been a brick wall, and he says you will not pass. And Sleety can't get the shot away, and Australia breathe again.
Oh my gosh, talk about breathing, Connor. Take a deep breath, because that was crazy. Really end-to-end. Lots of basketball in terms of transition. Opens up. But yeah, Tunisia are failing to take the chances.
Masakni onto Sleety, just outside the penalty area, left-hand side for Tunisia. Cross straight into the arms of the goalkeeper from Abdi, and Matt Ryan holds onto it like it's a newborn baby and holds it close to his chest.
Precious. It's interesting what you were saying about subs earlier on. I mean, in terms of getting new legs on the pitch, I mean, understanding the match tempo is a key element to an impactful substitution. But, that key moment for Tunisia came off a really strange, unbalanced attempt on the ball from Rowles.
The middle of all that, we didn't get a chance to come back and reflect on it. The mistake by Kai Rolls, which allowed Kinsey to attack forward, and Suter eventually came sliding across. We've seen the replay, but the ball bounced. He just loses his awareness. It bounces up and hits him on the nose, and he falls over, and that could have been so critical. Here's a chance. Khazri tries to get the shot in, and it's saved. Saved by Matt Ryan. Low cross from the right-hand side. Khazri from a standing position tried to stab it forward. How many more chances are Tunisia going to get? They remain 1-0 behind with 2 minutes of normal time to play.
I can't actually believe that this is still 1-0. I mean, the amount of chances that Tunisia have had. Wow, Khazri, I just thought a player of his nature and stature would have done a bit better with that. Seemed like he was leaning back and didn't make the most effective contact on the ball. But again, going back to what we discussed earlier about Matty Ryan and the Australian goalie, and an absolutely snoozing first half, not involved at all, and now he's just under the caution. It really has to be switched on and tidy.
Tristic is out-muscled by Talby on the left-hand side of the Tunisian defence. Tunisia 0, Australia 1. The game almost done and dusted. The final minute of the 90 as down the right-hand side on the attack comes Ketcherida. He gives it in field to Naim Sleety. Tries to step over but might lose it here to Jackson Irvine. Both players collide. Tunisia just about holding on to it here. Saizi, you've got to admire their commitment. The heads haven't dropped. They believe there's an equaliser to be had here. Ketcherida into the middle of the midfield. Sleety gives it the outside of the boot to the left-hand side. Masakni, who's been their most creative player, back into Sleety once again, just outside the D. They're trying to ticky-tack their way in, but Aaron Moy is there, and he wins it back on the edge of the penalty area, and he plays a calming pass to the left from Mabil, but there's no calm in this game, and Mabil loses it. Look at the celebration there from Moy as he tries to drum up the teammates around him, and Australia know they are nearly there for a famous World Cup victory.
Oh my goodness, like the exasperation on some of these Tunisian supporters' faces, like they just can't believe that it's just not falling to their feet in terms of, like, they haven't put a ball in the back of the net yet. And I think to your point around Mouhi celebrating that clearance, and wow, they're on the cusp of something really, really exciting, and I hope that they certainly manage to pull it off.
A stadium full of anguish now. I mean, even the Australians, they're not celebrating the fact they're 1-0 up. They're biting fingernails. They're grimacing their faces. They're gnarling their teeth. They are nearly there, but they, until they hear that full-time whistle, and surprise, Degenek goes up. To be fair to him, he's a big, strong lad. He's not going to stay down. He bounces back up straight away again. 6 minutes to be added on for stoppages by this World Cup standards. It's not a huge amount. 6 minutes, though, for Tunisia to try and salvage something here.
This is tense. This is so tense. I mean, you could just feel both sides just pulling, like one to get, to equalize, and then one to just kind of get through to the next phase. And, these next few minutes, 6 minutes, can you imagine, what's going through the Australians' minds at the minute? It's like, okay, let's slow the tempo down. Let's make sure we make the most of, like, playing in there in the Tunisian final third. Like, let's keep possession up there. But the Tunisians, on the other hand, are just lumping it forward.
Yeah, tell you, if Tunisia do snatch a late goal. You'll hear the vibrations around the planet. Matt Ryan clears away for Australia up towards the halfway line, controlled expertly on the chest by Al Abdi. Gives it infield to Ferjeni Saizi. Back out to the left-hand side to Masek. I still think he's the one who might just be able to pick the lock for Tunisia if anyone can. He's a very creative player. He plays with a head up. He's always looking for the options as Talby gives it to the left-hand side. Back into the midfield again to Saizi, who's seen an awful lot of it since coming on as a sub. The centre-back Maria comes forward. It's all hands on deck now for Tunisia. Australia sitting deep, trying to keep their shape. Slitty on the right wing, on his left boot, sends in a cross. Cushion header down by Talby, but he can't pick out a teammate. Here is Saizi, scoops it over the top. That's a clever ball. El Abdi in the penalty area. Australia have got to be careful. They're stretching its pinball. Kaziri picks it up, tries to get a shot in. Moy makes the block. 10 metres out from the goal. It falls for Aaron Moy again. The second ricochet, and he'll come away. He looks so tired. He's like he's running in deep water there, Aaron Moy, as he tries to get the ball away. But Australia are nearly there. That looked like a handball by Saizi. It's going to be a free kick. He holds his shirt. He says it hit his chest. The referee's having none of it. It's a yellow card for deliberate handball there for Saizi. It's a free kick to Australia, and you can bet your bottom Australian dollar that they will take their time over this one.
Australia, I love that. Very specific. No, I mean, there's so much to unpick there. It's really hard to kind of look at everything in one go, but yeah, the defending from Australia was very good. You know, everyone stood up. Everyone was very, very patient, very aware that the Tunisians were trying to get them to commit to a tackle and essentially, you know, for a penalty, and they did really, really well to kind of maintain that play out. Body awareness from Moy did really, really well for Mustich to kind of, you know, at least look for a combination to alleviate the pressure.
Aaron Moy's been great. I mean, classic curse to the commentator as I say that he gives the ball away, but over the course of the game he's been exactly what Australia need. He has been a cool head while everyone around him is losing theirs. He has been ice cool, solid decision making, nothing frantic. Exactly what Australia need more of.
Absolutely. He's been available everywhere as well. Like, he puts himself about trying to make sure that there's always an outlet.
Tunisia 0, Australia 1. We have played half of the 6 minutes being added on for stoppages. Has the boat sailed for Tunisia? Are they going to get another chance? Here's Sleety, picks up a loose ball midway inside the Australian half, gives it to Shaqiri down the right hand side with a protective face mask, hangs it across. Ryan comes, excellent goalkeeping, rises high, takes it, falls to the ground and holds on tightly. Again, exactly what Australia need at this moment.
A fantastic take and a really huge moment for Matt Ryan in Australia in the Australian goal. I mean, but let's be honest, like, that cross was just asking to be plucked. And he did so well to hold on to it, coming through a lot of traffic, and he's just lumped it forward.
There's been heroes all over the pitch really for Australia. Ryan has held firm at the back. Harry Souttar has been a warrior. Here he is in possession, giving it an almighty wallop. Just get it up the other end of the field, get it away from our goal. But you think of Duke scoring the goal. I've been sent some stats here. I mean, during his time on the pitch, Mitchell Duke had most shots to target, most aerial duels won, most fouls won. He really put himself about. So between Ryan, Souttar, Moy, Duke, I mean, they could have 4 or 5 men of the match. They've been brilliant, haven't they?
Absolutely. No, they've been. But, you know, I think it's testament to the game plan and how it's been disseminated across the team. I think they seem to know exactly what their roles are and how to manage these moments. So a well-drilled, disciplined team, very committed.
Into the 5th of the 6 minutes. They're not there yet, though. 1-0, the slenderest of leads. There's a chance for Maria to get into the box, but that's a tired cross. He couldn't get the height on it, and Jackson Irvine heads it away.
Another check of the referee's watch. It feels like this whistle's going to blow at any minute, but yeah, it seems as though like Tunisia maybe has recognized that this is going deep.
Last chance salute. Maria midway inside the Australian half. The Aussies all sitting on the edge of their area. Here's a cross into the box. Header just about away by Behich. Hasn't cleared the penalty area yet though. Can Abdi resuscitate across? There's appeals for a handball. I think it was outside the penalty area. Well, I don't know if the VAR would get involved being outside the penalty area, but there was certainly a case that there might have been a handball off an Australian defender there. The Aussies play on. Bacchus clears it away. Another one of those hoof it forward ones, which Mabel will sprint after, and he's got there. He's got the pace. He's got McLaren inside too. This could finish it. Mabel for Australia. What's he doing? He cut back at himself, and he's given the ball away. That could have signed and sealed it for Australia there, but young Mabel, he just didn't know what to do.
Honestly,
the moment got the better of him.
This is where youth just needs some experience. You either take that to the corner or you just hang on to it for a little bit, try to draw a foul maybe, but mate, that was the wrong choice. He's fuming. Look at he's fuming.
Nuts.
Well, look what happened next. The Tunisian player just knocked it forward. There was a bit of a foot race. Thank goodness he kind of stumbled over. But yeah, you'd be fuming if you were manager. Are you kidding? He's going to get an absolute slating after this game for that moment.
There it is, the final whistle, and it's all over. Australia have beaten Tunisia by 1-0 at the Al Janoub Stadium. It's the Aussies' first win of this tournament, and it boosts their chances and their hopes of progressing to the knockout stages. It's a day that they needed to stand up and be counted, and boy have they done that. Graham Arnold's team have fought for this victory. The well-taken goal by Mitchell Duke will be one to remember, and after 6 defeats and a draw in their last 7 World Cup matches, it is finally a win for Australia, a first win in a World Cup since 2010. Karen, look at these scenes, smiles on the faces of the Aussies.
Honestly, they're buzzing, and it's great to see all these smiles. I mean, they should all be so proud of themselves. Like, from the moment the whistle blew in that first half, the first kick of the game was just energy and commitment from the entire team, and to maintain that and to manage those moments, from the support staff, from the manager to everyone on the pitch and all the players that never got on. Like, it was just a fantastic team commitment all around, and it's a real shame though for the Tunisians. I mean, what a second half performance, and I think if you look back into the first half, could they have made those changes a little bit sooner? Could they have gotten those messages onto the pitch a bit sooner? But all the credit, to Australia for pulling that, getting that over the line, and congratulations to Matty Ryan for his first clean sheet as well.
Well, Karen, it's been an absolute joy to commentate this game with you. And this to me is the beauty of the World Cup. I mean, any other month of any other year, would you, 10 o'clock in the morning UK time, be in any way interested in Tunisia against Australia? But that was gripping, and they held on Australia, and their team spirit might well bring them even further in this competition now. It's going to be intriguing to see where Graham Arnold and company go. They face Denmark next in a group that for now remains open. France will be the favourites, of course, and they're up against Denmark this afternoon. But for here at the Al Janoub Stadium, it finishes Tunisia 0, Australia 1.